Bushwhacks were some of the worst days I've ever had in the mountains, or life, really.
Whereas Panther Mountain is totally opposite. It's a mountain on top of a crater.
I think the weather challenges on this incident were particularly difficult.
It was really the development of New York State. Catskills were responsible.
Now you're listening to Inside the Line, the Catskill Mountains podcast.
Let's have a good time. So hot off the press. 30 minutes ago, I got this. So listen to this stuff. This is not Catskill related, but I want to just bring this up. Man dips fingers in boiling Yellowstone spring to show off. It doesn't end well. What do you think happens? The freaking guy falls into the thing and dies.
And there was no ranger there to rescue him.
Oh, do we have to do this political stuff, Tad, again? Do we have? Yes, we have to.
I could have. You just like teed that right up. I mean, how could I not just launch that into the stratosphere?
Yeah. So
no, are we recording now? Did you already?
We are.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, I apologize to all the listeners for talking politics under the 2750 elevation, but that's another story.
Yeah, so a man has been caught dabbing his fingers in the boiling pool at Yellowstone National Park for attention, despite warnings from his companion. Also, taking a video, several people took videos, and apparently he fell in and died.
No,
so,
well, then I am sorry, Jesus.
This was posted on Torrens of Yellowstone National Park. Now, they didn't show the process of him unfortunately passing away. There's several close calls here at the hot springs, and unfortunately, this has been an incident that is considered a death. So, unbelievable stuff that they couldn't, of course, within the Yellowstone, like the hot pools over there, the hot springs, you cannot retrieve a person in there. It's too hot. The water's too warm.
Wow.
And unfortunately, within a day, he dissolved. And
so he dissolved. Wow, this is horrible. When did this happen? You said this happened today?
Oh, maybe. Oh, I might have to. This is 2024.
Oh, you said this just happened.
I guarantee. Oh, I guess it didn't. Shit.
See,
luckily,
Mike,
this is why we edit.
Mike, you'll never, if you listen to the show on Friday, you'll never hear any of this exchange because the editors come in, they make us sound good, they do voiceovers. I want to get that background laughter that they have for sitcoms, so makes it sound like everything I say is funny.
Oh, God, that's horrible. I'm going to leave this on there just to show how real this is.
How real.
Mike.
Somebody dying. That makes it real.
Mike, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Wow. I was, once again, I was bamboozled by the news. So how about we get into some Catskill stuff? All right. So.
Just wait. I just need a moment to calibrate after hearing this. But okay, go ahead. I'm ready to roll.
All right, so this is hot off the press. Tad, I'm guessing we both get Ranger reports because we send each other stuff. So, hot off of the press, 2025, let's say it's 2025, February 22nd at 7:40 p.m., Greene County 911 received a call from two lost hikers on the Escarpment Trail. Forest Rangers Fox and Peterson were unable to reestablish contact with the hikers, so they hiked to the coordinates of the 911 call. Rangers reached the two 53-year-old hikers approximately 1 mile from the North-South Lake campground. Now, they didn't say which direction. Greene County Sheriff deputies drove paired to their vehicle, and resources were cleared by 9:50. So 2 hours. Once again, they didn't say north or south, so I'm guessing, I don't know. That's a tough call to be north or south. 2 miles, I would have to say they were south of the North-South Lake campground, because you wouldn't want to go north and go up. You would always lead to go down, and that would be the Escarpment Trail on the southern part of North-South Lake campground. So,
you think they were lost? You think they were lost on the south side?
I think they were, because you wouldn't want to. Once you start ascending, you get doubts, and you'd be like, "This is wrong," and you would turn around. So I'm guessing that's what they started to do when they started going up the northern escarpment.
What about you, Mike? You got an opinion on this? I do. I have a comment, but we'll let you go first.
Well, I'm just curious. It says that they weren't wearing proper winter gear, and I'd like to know, what exactly that means. Do they?
This is a different incident. This is hot off the press within the last 24 hours.
This. Oh yeah. If you go down in the show notes, we have this. But so
you added this.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No,
no,
that's okay. Mike,
it stays too. It all stays.
Yeah. It all. Yep.
Yeah. So at any rate, this is Saturday night. This past Saturday.
All right. Yep.
And it was cold. Capital COLD, capital COLD, outside, cold, right? 7:40 p.m. and they're lost. So they're lucky the Rangers got to them so quickly and, found them, got them quickly. It'd be nice to hear the backstory like we heard from Rusher and Horn a few weeks ago, the backstory to these rescues. But these guys were out, they got lost. Doesn't say if they had headlamps or whatnot, but
yeah, I mean, if that's the common area of people getting lost.
Were they lost on or off trail? Because off trail, the snow's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Did they have snowshoes? These are all interesting questions. They don't report it in this little blurb, but those are things us hikers want to know.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we have a couple incidents located within the Catskills. And Mike, I know you just talked about this, and we'll chat about this right now.
Yeah.
And then Denning on February 16th. So once again, this is a while back, 6 days before last Saturday. So it was Monday, February 16th. Forest Ranger Martin responded to a radio call for no voice 911 from Red Hill Road. Ranger Martin checked to the access point of the Red Hill Fire Tower and located the car parked on Denning Road. So he was on the northern part of the Red Hill Fire Tower. Ranger Swider, I'll have to ask Rangers Rusher and Horn about that name, hiked up the Old Dinch Road and the access point while Ranger Martin hiked up the Denning Road. At 3 p.m., Ranger Martin located the hikers from New York City returning to the parking area on the Blue Trail, which is the southern part going towards Denning. They had called 911 because they were concerned about the weather and getting frostbite since they were not wearing the proper winter gear. When 911 didn't go through, they continued hiking down to the car. Now I mean, the story kind of says itself. They should have just done that anyway. But good for them, for Major Martin and Schweidner hiked up the Old Dinch Road, which is on the other side, which is actually probably kind of tough because he had to park. Their trucks are pretty good, so he probably just went freaking full bore right through to the parking area. I mean, Mike, have you been to both access points of Red Hill?
Not both. I've gone from the Dinch Road.
Yeah, that's it. You got to admit, in the winter, that would be absolutely insane.
Yeah, that would be dicey. And I'm impressed that with the no voice 911 call that they get that kind of response. The Rangers going out there without knowing anything about what the call was about and, responding like that. I listened to the episode that you had with a couple of Rangers too. And, it's really impressive what those guys can do.
Yeah. Especially coordinating together, like one will go to one access point, one will go to the other access point, and they'll, I hate to say it, but attack at that way. And they found them at 3 p.m. That's the thing, is 3 p.m. We still got, at this time, we got like maybe 2.5 hours of strong daylight time. Over there, it's kind of, I don't think it's hitting on the Old Dinch Road or on the northern part. It's not even hitting Slide Mountain. You're not even hitting some big major peaks over there. So you're getting still some good daylight time. So, I mean, but they're concerned about the weather and getting frostbite. So I'm guessing the weather had to be a little bit, it's a Monday. Was that President's Day? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was.
So everybody was out on that day. So I'm surprised they didn't run into
everyone but me.
And me.
Yeah, I had to do the grind. So
yeah,
day before, that was the Sunday before President's.
Was it? Okay.
Oh, okay. So
good thing we have Mike on the show. He's keeping it straight and honest.
Straight, he's keeping it going. So yeah, I mean, good for them to be concerned with what they are, and maybe the Rangers liked getting that little workout that they had, but you know, I mean, we heard from Rusher and Horn that sometimes they love getting called off of the desk and just getting out there. Good for them. They
I mean, on the one hand, this doesn't seem like a big incident, and they were rescued or retrieved or found, whatever you want to say, fairly quickly. But, had it been elsewhere in the Catskills, it could have been a much more, difficult situation to get them out. The consequences to these guys could have been more dire, but it's nice to see that it has a happy ending, if you will.
Correct. And we've God, I hate to bring this up. Catskill Falls have another incident. I'm surprised that we just haven't heard incident after incident here in the past, like I would say 2-3 months when we've had snow here. So I mean, apparently they're I don't think they're reporting everything, because like even when I've gone down there during like little snow, it's a little dicey with even hill sounds going down there. So. But apparently the next day, which is a Monday, as Mike pointed out, 5:50 p.m. So we're talking about there's probably no daylight because the sun is below Catskill Falls at the time.
Yeah, I mean the sun is to the west of there, right? And this is on the east side of the Catskills, deep in a cove.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got to be relatively dark down there for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Raybrook Dispatch requested forest ranger assistant with 2 subjects stuck on the ice at the lower falls of Catskill Falls. This is the lower falls, so they're at the bottom area. At 6:40 p.m., rangers Comerford, Fox, and Peterson. So Fox and Peterson were over in frickin' the earlier day. They were over in Red Hill, and then they shuffled themselves all the way into Hunter Tannersville. Wow. The next day, they reached the 2 hikers. This is the first time the 2 graduate students ever hiked there. They didn't have a light source, proper winter gear, or even traction devices for their boots. At least they were wearing boots. Rangers provided traction devices, headlamps, and educated them on essential hiking essentials while walking them back to the vehicles. Resources were clear at 7:30 p.m. So, number 1 is... I have been to Catskill Falls many times, winter, summer, fall, anytime. Getting down to the base of that falls in even the winter, springtime is absolutely insane. I would rather go down some crazy, sketchy areas on the Devil's Path than come down these stairs area where it's just an infinite go, you're done. No trees whatsoever. You're either going into the frickin' falls and falling off of the first falls, or you're dead. So
yeah, I see a lot of people sharing pictures on Facebook of the frozen falls, and they'll be like behind the falls, and other comments will be like, oh, it's such a beautiful picture. I mean, they are nice shots, but I wonder how many warning signs, how many fences do you have to climb over to get there for that shot? And I'm just amazed that people wander back there with that sheer ice wall as well. I imagine chunks of ice have some pretty good velocity coming off of that ice wall. I think there's a lot of people scrambling around on the ice at Catskill Falls, and I would imagine in these kind of conditions there are a lot of incidents out there.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Stosh? Should they close access to the falls down in winter?
Absolutely not.
Seriously, remember last week we read some of those Facebook comments or the week before, those folks who got rescued off of Mount Washington, and the one guy says, well, in the winter, just close the trails, problem solved. Why not do it at Catskill Falls? Close the trails.
Because it's absolutely phenomenal in the winter. And I don't blame people. But
somebody could die. Somebody's child could die there.
How many people have died at Catskill Falls during the summer?
We should close it down year round then.
Year round.
No one should see it, right? Unless you were a listener and sponsor of the show. What do you think, Mike? Should that be the new rule? That if you're a listener and sponsor of the show, you get to go to Catskill.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Why not?
Yeah, see? I like Mike. I think Mike is like the third wheel on the show going forward.
That'll be tough with the DEC. If I own that area, maybe. This is not, what is it called? Is it Haynes Falls over there? This is not Twilight Park, all right, Ted? Aren't
all those houses falling into the cove?
They are pretty much, I am absolutely fascinated that those things haven't fallen in the cove over in the Santa Cruz area. So if you know what we're talking about, if you hike the Escarpment Trail, the first ledge that you get to, I forgot what is that, Sunset Inspiration Point?
If you just drive up 23, you see those houses in the morning with the sun coming in. It looks spectacular. And then you remind yourself they were built like almost 100 years ago. Right. When engineering guys, engineers still had pencils and slide rules.
Yeah. And they're sitting right on the edges of goddamn slides that are going to happen. And, and they don't give you access to Haynes Falls, one of the most beautiful waterfalls that you can see anywhere. And there's very little documentation of this. What? I'm not going to say anything. I'm not sneaking over there. What?
We and plus we have Mike on the show, and Mike looks like a pretty legit, honest, law-abiding person. So
that's kind of you to say, Ted. Thank you.
We're going to try to keep it inside the lines tonight.
Actually, you know what's funny? We're actually going in order of dates, which is a surprise because we usually go backtrack and then get up there. So
it's Mike. It's the Mike effect.
I know. I don't know. So on February 19th. Up on Bel Air Mountain, and we know during this date, 3 days later, strong winds. We had a big wind storm coming through the southern Catskills, actually the middle, like the northern Catskills, southern Catskills, and Hudson Valley. A tree caused to fall on the Bel Air Express on Bel Air Mountain, resulting in damage to the lift that at this time was still being accessed. No one was injured, and the lift is currently closed. Now, we had an update recently that they have fixed it within, I don't remember what this was. I think this was a couple of days, like 2 days later, that the chairlift has been resumed, and following through inspections, the call just came down that the lift had been cleared for operation. Lift maintenance crew worked tirelessly through the nights, respacing chairs, getting the lift dialed in, and the lift might be slightly delayed for final tweaks, but the weekend it was jam-packed because of the snow, of course, that we've had. And, not being a skier or anybody that's ever kind of skied except on the small mountains. Tad, what do you have to say about this Bel Air incident? Because you are a prolific skier, you know the area, you know skiing, so.
Yeah, well, I remember this lift from when it wasn't the lift that's there now, when it was the 4-person fixed quad that was there before, and then I think it was in 2006 or 8, something like that, they upgraded the lift by putting in a 4-person detachable quad. So that means it seats 4 people per chair. And when the chairs get to the bull wheels at either end of the lift, they actually come off the cable, so they slow down. The cable goes at high speed, too fast for people to board the lift while the chairs are on the cable. And so when they talk about respacing of the chairs, what I assume happened is when the tree hits the cable, chairs are moving either at that time or later in the day when they started up, and some of these chairs slid together. So the spacing of the chairs is really important to cable tension, keeping the cable on the rollers, keeping the cable from bouncing. You got to have them spaced appropriately. So these guys at Bel Air and at all these ski areas, I think they really know what they're doing when it comes to lift maintenance, lift safety. I remember when I was growing up skiing in the 70s.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It wasn't uncommon. It wasn't uncommon for people to die from a chairlift related accident. Okay. We had what I think was called Blue Hill or Blue something, not that far away from where I grew up. And they had a lot of vertical drop. They got decent snow, but they also had this chairlift that would invariably kill a couple people a year. It was, eventually they shut the place down.
I was going to say, shut it down. That's like Catskill Falls. Shut it down.
But now the state of New York and the other operators, let's look at Platico, which probably has the leanest budget of all ski areas in the Catskills. When's the last time you remember hearing about somebody dying on their chairlift? And they have the one lift, their double is an old Hall chairlift, maybe from the 60s or early 70s. It's an old lift. But I think they replaced the bull wheels and the equipment on either end within the last couple of years on that. But it's an old lift, runs flawlessly, or so to speak. So
Chad, when we talk about the Bel Air Express, this is bringing you from what area to what area? To
it
base lodge to the top, or the middle lodge?
Well, yeah, I forget what they call the lodges, but it brings you from the lower lodge to the top of the mountain where it overlooks the sundown area, if you will. So, and then they have the gondola, which kind of runs a little from the diagonal that brings you up towards the top of what I think they used to call or still call the Tomahawk lift. But when in this article, the one thing that because I haven't been to Bel Air in a few years, that they refer to this as the Bel Air Express. It used to be known as the Super Chief, and maybe they're backpedaling away from those names. So they might have gotten rid of the Tomahawk.
I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
So,
well, you know what?
And I just want to point out, because I know this has probably been grating on Mike. Stosh, you just got done saying how we've been going in chronological order. Did you catch that, Mike?
I did not.
No, we started off like in 2024. You told us it was like recent news, but it was actually from 2024, right?
So that's chronological.
Then we went to the 22nd, the Red Hill. No, the Escarpment Trail Rescue.
Oh, yeah.
Then we went to the 16th with the Red Hill, the 17th, and now Bel Air is on the 19th. So now Mike looks completely puzzled now, but Mike, this is how we make the sausage.
He's overviewing it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I failed the listening comprehension portion of this podcast at the beginning when the outline didn't match what we were talking about, but I am fully on board now.
Yeah. And I failed the speaking comprehension portion of the podcast. So saying.
It looks like the Bel Air Express leads from not even the Overlook, but below the Overlook Lodge to the top, and then the Catskill Thunder Gondola leads from the Discovery Lodge all the way up to the top. So the Catskill Thunder Gondola is the bigger one that leads all the way from the base to the top. Bel Air Express leads from the top to the Sunset Lodge, and then the Overlook Quad leads from the Longhouse to the middle of the Sunset Lodge and the Thunderhawk learning area. So it looks like that was a pretty big one. I got to admit, I think I know it's funny, I've hiked over there and I played disc golf over there. So that's one of the bigger ones, of course, because it goes right by the Overlook Lodge. I know it was pretty crazy that when Alex and I did disc golf over there, it was odd because we saw over 200 Jewish people at the lodge trying to find out how to get up the gondola, and I had to tell them, unfortunately, the gondola isn't open during the weekdays. It's only on the weekends. So 200. I was guessing about 200. This was a big pack. And I was just like, unfortunately, you can't do this. Like, it's not open. It's not operable. You got to go home. It's pretty crazy. That must have
been a really bad day for whoever was coordinating that trip and brought the 200 people out there.
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't running.
Right. Sorry, guys. We're not going to the top of the mountain. Too bad.
Yeah.
Like, sucks.
Time for a refund.
On the story for the tree falling, were there people on the lift at the time when it happened? They said there were no injuries, but do we know?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
So
it says on the morning of February 19th. So maybe the tree falls early morning before the lift has even been loaded. And then what I'm gathering, though, at some point, they start up the lift and this fallen tree now starts causing chairs to
bundle
slide.
up.
Yeah, well, to slide on the cable, and then they start to bundle up, and then that's a big problem for them because it starts putting a lot of point load on the cable. It's hard for them, when they get to the top of the the bowl wheel at the top of the mountain for them, the chairs to decouple. So I'm sure they have a process for dealing with it, but it's not what they were expecting.
Yeah. And Mike, you bring that up, it's kind of tough for a tree to fall on one of those cables because, those areas are pretty wide, but they've had those trees for a while. So they're taller trees, but it's very tough for that to hit the cable because they're wide enough for the trees to fall, but there's like one or two trees that could accidentally. So that whole tree had to go down to knock that cable off. You got to admit the force of that cable is pretty strong. So with that area, of course, Bel Air, Whiteface, stuff like that, New York State run ski areas have got to be kind of up to date on, looking to see what is the less money that could be used to operate and stuff like that. So I hate to say that, but it's a reality.
When we start to talk about the tree falling on the cable, usually they have the path or the runway for the chairlift pretty well cleared of things that can fall on the cable. But what would be interesting to know, at least for me, and Mike Kudish maybe, is what type of tree was that? Was it an ash tree that recently has succumbed to, the demise by the emerald ash borer, or was it some other type of tree? Be interesting to see what that little ash borer's effect is at a ski area.
Yeah, Ted, I just listened to that episode and I heard you all talking about what to call those hybrid ashes that have all the various resistances to the emerald ash borer. And I was just talking to my car stereo as I was listening to you guys throwing out ideas and saying, bad ashes. Could somebody say bad ashes?
Bad ashes.
I feel like, those are pretty cool trees.
Yeah. So, and I thought Mike was the clean one.
Yeah, right. Like, okay.
20 some minutes, he's already throwing out bad asses.
Trees.
I thought this was
people from the Hudson Valley. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought this was an explicit podcast.
We're explicit, Mike, but we're not that explicit. All right.
So I've listened to enough episodes to know.
Yeah. Keep your fucking comments to yourself.
Jesus. All right. Like this is at least we're 30 minutes in, and it's not.
Yeah.
God, I have sponsors on this show. Come on.
Oh, that's right. We better clean it up.
So I was waiting for the cue, but I feel like this is the right time to
do it.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounded good.
Loud and clear.
I like this guy.
I know
he's like a pro. Where'd we get this guy from?
He must be listening to shows.
He's got a diploma on the wall. It says Podcasters of America. Mike Todd, member 309.
Podcasters of Canada.
I know your commitment to craftsmanship of opening the beer correctly on the podcast. So I'm glad that went okay.
God, I went that on the side. I feel bad.
That was pro quality, man.
All right, I'll have to open another one when we do the beer talk.
Yeah, I'm very intimidated now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna download some fake sound when I go to open mine up now.
All right, well let's move on. All right,
moving on.
Let's get the news discussion out of here. So, Catskill towns vote to allow land sales to New York City. So I skimmed over this. Tad, I'm not really sure what this means somewhat. It seems like that they were letting the New York City DEP and such purchase more land so they can protect it. Is that what I'm catching?
Well,
or am I stupid? Explain this to me like I was 5.
Yeah, I think this is more or less legal gaslighting, if you will. Okay, and bear with me because I'm just going on the fly on this. I didn't look into it too closely, but what I recall from when I looked at this is this law will allow the DEP to buy land when there is an approval by the local municipality, like a town board.
Okay.
So if the town board gives a thumbs up to the DEP buying land, the DEP can go ahead and buy the land. So then you get into the political skirmish where if the DEP wants to buy land, the town can throw up their hands and oppose it, or the town, if they're savvy, can say, yeah, we'll let you buy this land, we'll vote in favor of it, but what's in it for us? Right? So maybe it becomes a little more transactional, or a phrase that we see in the news now and then is the quid pro quo, this for that. We'll let the DEP buy this land, but we get something in exchange, whether it's, some improvements here, some improvements there, payment for this, payment for that. I think it kind of softens or neuters some of the weight and power of the city just to come up here and flex their muscles and buy whatever they want.
Interesting. So would the towns have to vote on this? Would they have to have a proper vote?
Well, the town board, not the town board people.
Oh,
so yeah. So if you're Farmer Jones in the town of Shandaken and you've got a lot of wetlands on your property and no developer wants to buy your land because of the wetlands, there's really not a lot of development potential, but Farmer Jones wants to get out of Shandaken, he's going to call up the supervisor of Shandaken. And I'm just doing a hypothesis here. There's no reality to this, but this is how it could happen. Is so Farmer Jones calls up the supervisor and says, Bob, who he goes back a long way with, Bob, I need to get rid of my land. The DEP wants to buy it. Would you put this on the town board agenda to approve the sale? And because they like Farmer Jones, they approve the sale. That's all how some of this local politics can work. So I think that's what this is more or less is, instead of the city going around and doing these deals without some town input, it brings the town to the table. They're part of the process. And if they want something out of it, they can try to factor that into the equation by giving it their blessings. And
so this is more of the watershed towns and the DEP. So we're talking about like areas along watersheds. So creeks, rivers, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I think the town or the city can make the case that pretty much any land impacts their watershed area. And, they certainly have been buying up a lot of land and until recently. And it seems that some of that land didn't have as direct of a connection to the watershed as one would think, but they've been able to do these acquisitions. So,
well, I mean,
yeah, I think, look, it's a good thing, if it brings a little more harmony between the towns and the DEP and the locals, but it's
it's back and forth.
Decent. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, protect those areas that we're talking about. We have more purchased land over on Wyndham High Peak from the DEP. Stuff that has the streams flowing. I'm all for that instead of developing and stuff like that. We have a good wood stock and stuff, but back and forth, it's a good thing that we don't get the developments in the area. And I think that's what the towns and are looking for. And do you think, Tad or Mike, what do you think upon this subject of the DEP purchasing land, to kind of protect it around the towns and the watersheds and stuff like that? So it's a tough question.
Yeah, that's not being, not living in the Catskills. I feel like I don't get a vote here
I don't live in the Catskills.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. But I think we all as hikers benefit, when the land is kept wild. But I know this is, I think giving the towns the, being able to chart their own direction here is the right way to go. Yeah, yeah.
And we have once again like certain areas that we protect because of the watershed. Of course, it flows into like the Delaware Water Basin. We got the Neversink Water Basin. We have the Ashokan area. We have those areas that are protected to protect the water going down to New York City and stuff like that. Which at times I'm like, hell yeah, that's actually good because it makes the area that I hike in forever wild, and that I can enjoy it. But then at the same time, what's it going to do to these towns that need more money, that need more development, with what we got going on for the past 10, 15 years of everything going on? Once again, let's yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. So we'll see how that progresses. We'll probably follow that. I will follow that. I don't know if Tad will. So I will definitely follow that. Tad's a smart dude, though. He can talk about this all day long. Like you can just go all out on this. But I'm gonna follow it, and we'll chat about that. So the next topic, the last topic of this conversation is, I don't know how I thought it. I saw this on Instagram, and I thought it was pretty cool. So this guy named Connor Chapdelaine, aka Jap Rabbit, is going after the fastest known time of the Triple Crown. So the Triple Crown is the Pacific Crest Trail, the what is the other?
John Muir.
No, that's a small one.
Is
Pacific Crest Trail, the Appalachian Trail, and Henry did this.
And the Escarpment Trail.
Yeah.
The Long Path.
Pacific Crest, CDT. What's
Devil's
the CDT?
Path.
Continental Divide. So this goes from Mexico to Canada, Mexico to Canada, and then Georgia to Maine. Now he's going after the fastest known time for the Triple Crown. So follow him on Instagram. He was chatting about it. He's been all through the shit of the shit, going over through the John Muir Trail, like you said, Tad, and the Continental Divide and the Pacific Crest and Appalachian Trail. So fastest known time of 3 trails, which equals over 3,000 miles. And I forgot, it's like over 100,000 feet of elevation gain. So Mike, one.
Mike, what do you say? Does that sound like a fun time?
That sounds really tough. And I'm guessing he doesn't have to walk between them. He's probably allowed some transportation to get from one to the other.
It's supported.
I think there's a subway stop for each one. It's the D train, I remember, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of type 2 fun.
Yeah.
It sounds intense. And I will have his Instagram on there because I just thought it was absolutely cool to talk about, because he just started talking about this and it's fastest known time. We talked about fastest known time within the last 3 episodes where I mistakenly said, what's his name, was hiked the Escarpment Trail in 3 days, and he said 10 hours. And I was like, what the absolute, unbelievable.
Yeah. But I think your pals on the Slasher podcast recently interviewed somebody who was going to do the Triple Crown this year.
No way. I haven't listened to theirs.
Yeah, and you listen to his planning and his approach to it, and this is a person who has done each of them before, and so he had this approach to how he was going to go about doing it. And as I'm listening to it, as an example, all of his meals are cold, or like the ambient temperature. Everything, like all the dehydrated meals he's going to eat, he just cold soaks the stuff, right? Soaks it in water for a few hours and then he eats it. He doesn't bring a tent.
Oh, Sheswick is the guy that.
Yeah, that's him, right? And it's a good interview. It sounds like the kid's got it all going on. He's got a good vibe, this, that, and the other thing. But why would you want to do this? I could see like putting the hammer down for one particular hike and going hard one day, and then the next day slowing down, taking, in the scenery, the surroundings, enjoying yourself, maybe eating a hot meal. This guy worked for months on end. Why? What I want to do, we should get like a bunch of Harvard and Stanford psychologists to analyze all these people that do like these long haul fastest known times and find out what it is that their mothers did to them.
Right.
That ruined them. Mothers or fathers, I'm not going to discriminate.
I was going to say, it's probably the either or.
Yeah. Or did they just have like a really, really bad gym teacher in grade school?
You're not good enough. You need to do the fastest known time.
Come on, Bobby. Cheswick, pick up the slack.
Yeah.
Connor, you need to run like a jackrabbit, damn it.
There you go. Yeah, Connor was told to run like a chicken jack.
Mike is on mute. Mike is smart. He's got it on mute. I'm trying to make him laugh, and I don't hear anything. I look over. He's got that little red slash through the microphone. I'm like, damn it.
No,
Well,
no.
yeah,
All right. Yeah.
my son is playing a particularly intense round of Fortnite downstairs, and that was coming through. So,
And you want to join them.
Keep it off mute for right now, Todd. Mike,
yeah. So then the laughs come through, but you're going to get some Fortnite in there with it, I'm afraid.
just keep it off mute right now. We're good. So so check him out, and we'll keep on his progress throughout the year. I follow him on Instagram. So. All right, so thank you to the monthly supporters, Chris Garbian, Jeff Schatz, Desert City Radio, Mikey S., John Comiskey, Vicky Ferrer, Summit Seekers, Betsy A., Denise W., Tom H., Vanessa, and Derek. Thank you guys very much for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Once again, Tad, we're going to be supporting a local area. I got to figure out where soon. I think I might take Jeff's idea and go with the DEC and support just a certain branch of the Catskills. So I'll have to look into that.
Oh, with the donation?
Yeah, with the donation.
Yeah. What about that fund that raises money for gear and supplies for the Rangers?
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
You don't think New York State could do that with?
Well,
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Look, we see it right now with the state and the prison guards. I mean,
True.
I couldn't imagine being a state prison guard and going there every day for work, right?
Yeah.
You talk about a tough job. I mean, these guys get all sorts of nasty and foul things done for them. And then we find out that the state of New York has not necessarily got their back. So
I got a good relationship with Jeff. So let's keep it at that. Thank you, Jeff, for the suggestions. So let's get on to the amazing sponsor of the show, once again, that makes this show possible, and of course their donations possible. So Outdoor Chronicles Photography. So you need to capture your love story against breathtaking backdrops with Outdoor Chronicles Photography. Molly specializes in adventure couple photography, and she'll immortalize your moments amidst the stunning landscapes of the Catskills, Adirondacks, and White Mountains. She'll craft timeless images that reflect your unique bond in nature's grandeur. Embark on an unforgettable photographic journey with Outdoor Chronicles Photography. Don't hesitate to get a hold of Molly on all platforms. She has some recent photos up, and she has some time slots available for the summer and spring. Check out her stuff on Instagram and Facebook. Also, discover the wilderness with Trailbound Project, our expert-led hiking and backpacking education program offered unparalleled outdoor experiences. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned adventurer, join us to learn essential skills, explore stunning trails, and connect with nature. Start your journey today with Trailbound Project and unlock the wonders of the great outdoors. To be honest, I'm going to say that's my best I've ever done with those ads. These guys are awesome. I got to admit, I love our sponsors. Thank you very much, and our outdoor supporters. So let's see. Hard ciders mentions. We haven't had any hard ciders in a while, so if you want to donate a hard cider to the show to support the show, please do. Once again, if it doesn't go towards the show, it goes towards a donation back to the Catskills. So, Tad, let's talk about who's outdoors.
Who's outdoors? Yeah, I heard Tom had an eventful weekend.
He did. So him and Jeff Jotz went up Peekamoose Table and Lone. So I read their story. They had a great journey going up Table and Peekamoose, and then went up over to Lone, and snow got deep. They had some challenges with breaking trail and such. And unfortunately, Lone was their destination. I'm pretty sure they wanted to do the 6. Is that correct? I remember him saying, Tom said to me, like he said he wanted to do the 6.
Yeah, they actually started out with Joe as well, hiker Joe NY.
Yep.
And
he doesn't tag us anymore.
Joe, please. We're going to send our people out to get you. So yeah, they spotted a car in Denning. They started at Denning. They had a car out at Moonhaw, and they were going to do the through hike. And apparently, one thing leads to another. And the snow was mighty deep out there this past weekend. So they were lucky, because when they decided to bail, apparently a group had just come up from the Fisherman's Path to Lone, a big group that had really packed down a trench for them to take from Lone down to the Fisherman's and back to Denning. So that's a good way off of Lone when you can get it in the winter.
Exactly.
Somebody trenched it for you.
Yeah, and If anybody hasn't been through that section of Table and Lone, it can be, once again, it's one of those wind tunnels, one of those areas that could make drifts that, we have 2 feet of snow, but can make the drifts 4 to 6 feet of snow.
Yeah, I mean, last time I was going through there, I was with Danny Davis, and we kind of had in terms of winter conditions, we kind of had a nonchalant day leading up to Lone Mountain, and then from Lone to Table, it just, did a 180 on us, and the wind was really, really blowing. We saw some big drifts, and it was fun going through there. But we were almost done. We were just, a mile from the trail or so. But these guys, they had a lot of off-trail bushwhacking ahead of them. So
yeah, good for you on turning around on that point, Tom and Jeff, because once again going over, everybody's just like, it's a mile and a mile going back from Lone to Table or Lone to Rocky. That's not bad. It's not the steepest, but it's a long mile when you go back and forth in and out of the thick trees and stuff like that, and then you realize like, shit, I got to go back through that, and then you're thinking of when you're on Rocky that you have to go all the way over to Balsam Cap and Balsam Cap and Friday. Like it's one of those miseries that you're like, especially with between Balsam Cap and Rocky, it's just treacherous.
Yeah, well, it depends on a lot of factors, but if you don't feel it's your day, Lone's a good place to bail and head back. They could have retraced up the Table, which was an option for them, but they were fortunate that other group had come through and trenched out what I'll say was probably an easier way back for them. So, so it sounds like they had fun. They worked as a team, and everybody got back to their cars safely. So yeah. We'll call it a win. Definitely.
And Richie, my friend Richie on the search and rescue team, Richie's Nature Escaped went up to East Russ and Russ. Got one more off of his 3,500 winter list. So congratulations, Richie. He always follows the show. He loves the show. He's on my search and rescue team. He's he's actually a lieutenant now. He's a freaking guy has built his way up. He's a phenomenal person, a phenomenal search and rescue volunteer. So Richie, thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for tagging us, and glad you got East Russ and Russ. I don't know what he has left. He has less left than me. So I got 9 left. I'm thinking, Tad, of sometime doing the I would say the 8. So Peekamoose Table, Lone, Rocky, Balsam Cap, Friday, Wittenberg, Cornell, Wittenberg.
This winter?
Yes, trying, thinking about it. Well, that's tough.
Just let me know.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it?
I'll either be with you or, I'll be there with, ready to 911 you. If you know
all right. So, I mean, yeah. So buy us a hard cider, support the show. That would be fantastic. Or support your trails in the Catskills and stuff. Rate the show on any platform you have. Mike, have you rated the show yet?
I have not. Well, I wanted to make sure to do my due diligence first. I had to do my research, but I think I'm about ready. After this episode, I'll be ready.
Okay. 5 stars is what we accept only.
Yeah.
So it better be 5 stars.
Yeah. And if you don't rate us 5 stars, your entire being will self-destruct.
Yeah, I'll send a DEC on you.
Yeah. You can either self-destruct internally, or we now have a new feature where we can send you out to Yellowstone.
To test the water?
And the rest of the story.
Correct. So, Mike, you have opened the beer, the first beer with us. So how about you talk about what you're drinking tonight?
Yeah, I jumped the gun on that one. Sorry.
No, not at all. That was fantastic.
This is an Allagash White.
Yeah. I had that figured. I could tell from the back that's what you were pulling down.
Nice.
Do you have an opinion on that beer, Tad?
Yeah, my daughter turned me on to it. I think it's a good beer. It's something you can just keep in stock in the fridge, and it's a good go-to. Now I'm opening up. I'm not going to say it's a mystery. I had one of these this weekend, And so I thought I'd buy one to go and bring it home and crack it on the show tonight. So
I'm waiting for the crack.
Oh, you're right. You're ready for me to do it? All right.
Yeah.
Now the pressure's on because we have never. I mean, it was almost like an earthquake when Mike opened his. I was actually rattling over here. You ready?
Let's go.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Right.
I almost talked over it, Ted. That was really close, but I think we worked it out.
Excellent. Yeah, Mike, you're meshing in well. I'm not going to have to because I had an okay crack. I don't have to nuke you.
What? So Ted, what do you got?
Okay, so what do I have? I was out hiking off of the Frost Valley Road. So if you're hiking in the Frost Valley and you want a beer afterwards, go over to the Russian Mule, right? In Claryville. And is that still Claryville? I think it is Claryville where it is.
Yeah,
so
I know what you're talking about.
So they have a brewery there, the Russian Mule Brewery. I hopped in and tasted a few, and the Frost Valley IPA coming in at a very promising 6.8% alcohol.
Nice.
Yeah. So here we go.
Tad's going to be a little tipsy by the end of the show. No problem with that. That's the way I want it to go.
Yeah, and it tastes just as good as I remembered it from Saturday. So, yeah, it's not a bad IPA. I tasted some of the other ones. They were like, but this one was good. The Pilsner. I got a few others. I got a 4-pack. What was interesting, I don't know if you have seen this, Mike or Stosh, but I never knew what one of these craft breweries that right from the tap, they'll pour it into a can and put a lid on it right there at the bar. Have you ever seen that before?
No,
I have not.
I hadn't either. Not that I go to these places often enough, but yeah, I told her what 4 beers I wanted. She poured them into 4 cans right from the tap. And then there's this little machine. She put lids on them and whatnot. Now, what I was concerned about was how it would affect the carbonation.
Yeah, he's taking a sip.
And?
It's good. It's good. It passes. Yeah, I'd go back.
Pass. Nice. All right.
It's a keeper. It's a keeper. It's not a catch and release tonight. We can keep this.
Yeah. All right. So excellent. So previous hikes. Mike, you're the star of the show. Do you want to go first? What have you been doing lately?
My most recent hike was Bull Hill in the Hudson Highlands, down by Cold Spring. And that my oldest son is 15, and he loves that hike in particular. It goes up around an old quarry and has a view down to the river and West Point. And they've actually rerouted that trail to a new viewpoint that didn't exist as of several years ago, looking over the quarry and north up the Hudson. And this was the first time that we had done the full loop together, where you go around the back of the mountain, go through the Cornish estate ruins. And this was my son's first time wearing micro spikes. So he was enjoying dancing around on the ice. Like, you don't slip at all. Like, yeah.
You feel superhuman.
Yeah, he was really enjoying that. We really needed him. We kept saying, do we need him? And we just kept hopping on the rocks until finally, the trail just became a sheet of ice down the back of the mountain. And so that was about 2 weeks ago.
Mileage? What do you got? Mileage?
That was, I want to say 5.5 miles.
Nice. It's a decent mileage. Nice.
So that's just a warm up for you guys, I know, but that felt like a good day to us.
Oh, that's not a warm up for me. That's I didn't do anything. I feel bad. I was sick this weekend.
Yeah, I remember those hikes with my children, and whether it was 3 miles or 15, everyone was fantastic. So you would enjoy those while you can.
Absolutely, I will. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything before that, Mike? I remember you said you were doing something with your child before that when you started listening to the show.
I'm trying to think what that one was, because that's been our favorite one lately, because right across the street from that is Little Stony Point, which has a nice viewpoint also of the river. It's 100 yards from the parking lot. So it's a nice place to catch a sunset when you come down from the hike. Or sometimes over the summer, we've just driven out there just for the sunset. And it's always, on a nice summer evening, there's always a good crowd up there, and it kind of has a nice beach vibe to it. It's like a place for the folks in the town to come out and watch the sunset together. It's cool.
Nice.
So I don't know if that was the spot that I mentioned, but that's another one. Even when we're not doing the full Bull Hill hike, we'll hop over and check out Little Stony Point too.
Nice. So at least you got out. I didn't get out. I was sick this weekend. I was supposed to be in Massachusetts being with my nephew for his second birthday, but I was sick. I didn't want to get anybody to catch a cold, and my parents, who are over 70 years old, didn't want to get them catch a cold. So I freaking slept 9-10 hours. It was fantastic.
Wow.
I was relaxed. We watched Dexter all weekend. Again for the third time. God,
Is that a cartoon? What's Dexter?
Dexter is the greatest TV show that is ever created. He is a serial killer that kills bad people.
Well, that's great to know, Stosh. That's
He's a hero.
For me, greatest TV show ever. What comes to mind? Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That could be top of the list. Yeah, sure. But you're with like a serial killer. Lovely,
dude.
And I also just want to point out, because I know Mike, he's being bashful. He doesn't want to say anything. But Stosh, you didn't tell us what you're drinking.
Oh, I have two here, actually.
Oh, double fisting. That's like Irish handcuffs.
So in one hand, I got a 1911 Honeycrisp hard cider, of course. And the other hand,
shocking.
I know.
1911. Okay.
And then in the other hand, when Mike comes on, I have a Down East cider donut. This is my last one from Vermont that I got. So
is that with sprinkles or just regular?
It looks like it doesn't have sprinkles on it.
Okay.
So
but you can add them. You can add them like with a little funnel, drop some sprinkles in. I'll
add them later.
Cool.
So, all right. So so Tad, why don't you get about your hike? Some wanderer told me that you left a magic note in one of the canisters.
I guess I did.
So what happened?
I don't know what to say about Saturday's hike. It was just one of those days where, was it enjoyable? Yes. Was it endless drudgery? Yes. I hate to say that, but it was. I just out of Biscuit Brook, I hiked the 3. I did Double Top, Big Indian, and Fir. I gotta say, man, once you got off the trail, the snow was deep. I mean, it was, and what was weird about it is there was certain spots where it was so hard and firm, but with the dusting of snow on top, you really couldn't see what was underneath that dusting or how firm it was. So you would hit stretches where you felt like that NFL running back who just caught the kickoff, in the end zone, and just ran downfield and, went all the way and scored 6 points because you could just fly on this hard pack. And then as you were ready to spike the ball, you just punch through to your waist because it would just give out underneath you without any warning. And so then you would, continue and you would be going fast again, and then you would punch through. So that was, for the most part, once I got off trail, that was my experience heading over to Double Top.
There's no nobody broke trail up to South Double Top?
Oh no, there was nothing.
Not even some 420 people like Sarah Zing and stuff like that?
I honestly, man, I'm not going to say that's what I was hoping for, but I wouldn't have been surprised to see some evidence of human life going over to South Double Top. And I didn't. I actually searched when I went to bang a left and head over to South Double Top. I was actually looking for somebody's tracks to come.
Wow.
And there was nothing. So then I retraced. I got to Big Indian. Some guy was there. That seemed to be the only person that was there that day, which is odd because in the parking lot, I actually was called out by this woman, Stephanie, from Saugerties. Her and a group of 3 were heading up to Big Indian, and somehow she recognized me. She said from my voice, I don't quite get that. But at any rate, I thought I would run into their tracks when I got to Big Indian, but just this guy, he wasn't going to go through to Fir. So I had to slog it out from Big Indian to Fur. And that is where I ran into the deepest snow of the day. I mean, it almost started off like I had going over to South Double Top, really firm. I frankly skied off that first drop off of Big Indian and then just plowed right through the snow when I got to where that area just starts to level out. And then it was, just the whole hike over there was just, you're punching through here, you're punching through there. And I kept the hammer down though. I made good time. I got over to Fur and I, signed in at Fur, apparently vented a little bit in the sign-in book. And then
What'd you say?
I didn't say anything that I can repeat on the air. So help me God. And then
I'll ask Jim Boughton. Never mind.
Yeah. And then I had, coming off of Fur, I was thinking to myself that I just might go down the really steep part, into the drainage, because it might be really fast to go down that way. And then once I got like a couple 100 yards off in that direction, I thought better of it and made my way back to that shoulder that everyone comes down and just kind of followed the sun on my way down. And when I got out, and at one point going up Fur, I don't know if this was just me hallucinating from exhaustion or if there was really a group of people behind me, but I was like, should I wait for them and then just, get in the trench they're making, or should I continue going ahead? But I just heard these faint voices that never got any closer going up Fur. But eventually I got back down to the trail by Biscuit Brook. And by that time of the day, it's as if somebody came through with like a steamroller and made the most beautiful, firmest, widest trench imaginable. It was just like I just went on autopilot and just cruised back to the parking lot.
It's probably because you get out too early, man.
I can't say I was that early because there was that group of three, and then I passed some other guy on the trail as I was heading out. And then I didn't see anybody until I got back to Big Indian. And that was, even on my way out, I didn't see anybody. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the fact that when I was done with this epic hike and probably the deepest snow that we're going to see for the rest of the year, I headed over to the Russian Mule and picked up my Frost Valley IPA in honor of hiking through the deep snow out of the Frost Valley.
Congratulations. Nice.
Sounds like you earned that. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I really do. I should have earned more that day. One beer for every vertical foot climbed.
Mike, quick question. Are you a 3500 club member?
I am not. No.
Are you working on that?
I would say that it is a life goal. Yes. And I've enjoyed listening to you, Stash, and as you're chipping away at it. But yeah, I know that's a serious commitment. I have tons of respect for the folks who do it.
So, Mike, you haven't answered the implicit question. Have you hiked a single mountain in the Catskills over 3,500 feet?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Good. All right. Excellent.
What was that?
I've got a little ways to go, though. Wittenberg.
Oh, God. So you hiked I hate to say the bitch or the bitch, basically. So that's nothing, or everything else is nothing.
I wrote a trail guide for Wittenberg, and I said in there that I had tried earlier that day to convince, she was my girlfriend at the time, and she didn't come with me that day. And I said, if she had decided to come with me, she probably wouldn't be my wife now, because that was more hike than she would have wanted to do that day. That's a serious hike, but it's a beautiful hike.
Yeah.
Everybody will say that the Devil's Path is crazy, but I think Wittenberg is it's because it's longer, and that last half a mile to the top is just absolutely insane. People will hate that. The walk down sucks, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah. It is gorgeous up there.
Well, good. Well, let us know when you're going out on some 3,500 hikes. We'll freaking go out. It's Sundays. Tad's always Saturdays, so. Tad's got a Saturday.
I'm available on Sundays by special appointment. So. Yeah, I'm actually going to be hooking up with the tri-state hikers to go out with them on a Saturday. So
Nice. Yeah. Good,
it's going to
good
be
call.
my honor to hang out with that group. So
Nice. So, once again, volunteer for any club, whatever available. 3500 Club, Catskill Trail Crew, Catskill Mountains Club, Visitors Center, Jolly Rover Trail Crew, Bradley Mountain Fire Tower. Volunteer. If you need stickers, send me a message, personal message with your name and your email or your home address. That would be fantastic, and I will send you a free sticker. Free. Once again. So also, weather forecast. Right now it is shitty as heck. 40 degrees in Oneonta. It's been 30 to 40 degrees in the last couple days with the Catskills. It's going to be like that until Friday. Friday, it looks like we're going to be at 12 degrees in the morning with some clouds to 27 degrees at night. So we're going to have this freeze thaw crap. It's atrocious, once again. And wind chill, they say, is going to be laying at 11. You never know. Bring your gear. Saturday looks like it says some snow showers, not much, but a couple inches of snow within Friday night. It says like 3 inches of snow within Friday night. So once again, snowshoes might be your best option with the traction and stuff. A high of 25 in the morning on Saturday, but a low of 1 degree and a negative 29 at the nighttime of Saturday. Then we break into Sunday, where it's supposed to be cloudy, and a high of 5 with a low, with the wind chill, of negative 20 at night. My kind of shit. Looks like I might be going out Sunday. Oh, no, wait, that's my mom's birthday. Damn it.
bring mom with you.
I don't think a 72-year-old lady would be able to hike the 8th.
Thanks, buddy. I'm not that far away from that age, and I hope nobody's telling me then.
Hey, you never know.
Well, Stash, actually, your mom's birthday is on the Monday following.
I try. I was trying to convince her, be like, Sunday's not a good day. Like, it's going to be nice out. It's going to be super cold. You don't want to go outside. Let me go hiking and you can go do whatever you want. So, but yeah, we're going to go out to dinner. So, oh God, it looks fun. So pack your layers, pack your traction devices, whatever, if you're hiking up in the Catskills or in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah, be careful, because with all these warm temperatures and then the rain and then the super cold, it's going to be icy.
Icy as heck.
Yeah, we've been spoiled all winter long because we basically have had, fresh snow, cold temperatures. So we haven't had that snowpack turn into the ice monorail yet this winter. Yeah, this could be the weekend.
Could definitely be the weekend.
And I'm sure your mom will appreciate, Stash, that you're giving up that negative 20 degree weather to hang out with her.
Hey,
you're making the right call.
I did it last Tuesday up on Slide, and she was like sending me text messages every 20 minutes, like, "Are you okay?" And I kept sending her a message of selfies, and I'm just like, "I'm fine. Leave me alone. I do not want to hear this shit." And I turned it on Do Not Disturb, and she was just like, "I'm concerned. It's been 2 hours since you contacted me." I'm like, "I'm on my way home already. Stop."
Poor mom.
She's doing her job.
Yeah. She is. She's a sweetheart.
You never stop being a parent.
By the way, if you heard that freaking sound, she just sent me a message. So let's get on.
She knows you're talking about her.
So our last set of sponsors, and then we'll finally get on to Mike's, and Mike talk about the Hudson Valley. So discover Camp Catskill in Tannersville, your ultimate hiking store. Find top quality gear, apparel, and accessories for all your hiking outdoors ventures. Our expert staff is here helping out every hiker from beginner to seasoned pros. We also carry a variety of unique Catskill souvenirs and gifts like shirts and posters. Visit us online at campcatskill.co or in the store to gear up for your next journey. Adventure starts at Camp Catskill. Also, discover the beauty of Catskills, Adirondacks, and the Hudson Valley with scenic route guiding. Our expert guides ensure a safe, unforgettable journey tailored to your skill level, from breathtaking vistas to hidden gems, or if you're peak bagging, to just simple day hikes. We'll lead you to the best spots and back. Book your adventure today and explore nature's wonders with Scenic Route Guiding. Check them out on all social media platforms. Also, if you mention the podcast, you can get 10% off. Use the code Mountain Lion. You should also embark on a transformative journey with Another Summit. Another Summit is dedicated to serving veterans and first responders with free outdoor activities. Activities like walks in nature, paddling, hiking, and even backpacking. Join our supportive community to rejuvenate in nature's embrace. Experience camaraderie, adventure, and healing at no cost. Take your next step with Another Summit and ascend to new heights of resilience and joy. Apply today at anothersummit.org. They have stuff going on May 22nd, 10 a.m., Tarp Shelter Workshop for free for veterans and first responders in Nelsonville, New York. Check out on their website, anothersummit.org. Also, Spring Forest Ecology on Saturday, May 29th at 10 a.m. in Rhinebeck, New York. Check out on anothersummit.org for their dates and to sign up. All right, so let's get on to the guest of the night.
Let's go.
So Mike Todd joins us from Hike the Hudson Valley. I don't know how to say it. Is it Hike the... you do a website, hikethehudsonvalley.com with Hike the Hudson Valley webpage. How do you want to say that?
Yes, Stash, I have wrestled with that one as well. Hike the Hudson Valley. It is just the website. So Hike the Hudson Valley. Yeah, Hike the Hudson Valley is good. I think
okay.
We'll go with that.
So Mike from Hike the Hudson Valley, this guy has done extensive research of hikes throughout the Hudson Valley. I'm not familiar. Tad might be more familiar with this, but the Hudson Valley is an awesome area to explore, to hike throughout and such. And, I want to learn more about it. I wish I was closer to I could explore this, but Mike is a professional in this area and he has been exploring this since when?
I started the website in 2010 and I moved to the Hudson Valley in 2000.
15 years he has been doing the website and he's been hiking throughout there for 25 years. Jesus.
Do I count as a local now? 25 years? I've got to be closing in on it.
You're right. Definitely a local. Is that now, Mike, the big question, the first question, we're not even going to talk about the background, is where do you live? What's your town?
In Hopewell Junction. I have lived in Poughkeepsie and Rhinebeck, and now I live in Hopewell Junction. Been here since 2000.
Is that considered upstate?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not even gonna qualify that. I'm just going to say.
Are you? Is it Orange County?
No.
Yes. So he's upstate. All right, Tad. We have a winner. All right, Tad. Do you consider that upstate?
Yeah, definitely. That's
okay.
That's upstate.
All right. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want to learn more about the Hudson Valley. I've heard that that's a phenomenal area. The only place I've ever been to is the Ferncliff Forest. Is that considered Hudson Valley?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's in Rhinebeck.
Okay, that's a phenomenal place. So that's the only place I've ever been to. So tell us a little background about yourself. I mean, you already said you started the webpage in 2010 and you were here in 2000. Go deep.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go way back. I was born outside of Philadelphia and spent my whole life there. Grew up, in Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania, small town outside of Philly. So was really excited for the outcome of the Super Bowl, not to get sidetracked, but, my sons have decided on their own to be Eagles fans as well. I think we're the only ones in a 50-mile radius or so. So I was telling my son, the Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls in your lifetime and 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime. I don't think you understand how good you have it. But I probably just turned off 95% of the listenership to this show by talking about the Eagles. So anyway, I come by, and honestly, that's where I was born and raised. I have always enjoyed writing. I wrote a humor column for our high school newspaper with a buddy of mine. I went to Penn State. I majored in computer science, and partway through, I picked up an English minor just for fun, just because I enjoy writing and I was close enough to the requirements anyway. I only needed a couple more classes. And I might be the first person in history who ever got a job due to an English minor. But I got hired by IBM in Poughkeepsie, first as a summer co-op in the summer of 2000 to be a technical writer. So they were looking for somebody with a computer science and an English background for that job. And so that's what brought me to Poughkeepsie. When I got the offer that was located in Poughkeepsie. I ran to a piece of paper all excited, and I wrote down Pokipsy and then looked at a map of New York to see where this place was. I had heard of Poughkeepsie, but I didn't know where it was. And it turned out to be, about 3.5 hours from where I grew up. So yeah, came up here for the summer, didn't know the area, didn't know anybody when I got here. So in the evenings, one of my favorite things of being an adult was that I didn't have homework to do in the evenings. That was my time to do whatever I wanted. So this is dating myself, but I went across the street to Barnes and Noble, picked up a couple of book trail guides to see, what the natural area around Poughkeepsie had to offer. And I was just blown away. If you go in any direction from Poughkeepsie, an hour or less, there's some awesome natural sight to see. So I spent a lot of that summer just exploring the area in the evenings and on the weekends. And when I came back full time after I graduated in 2001, I just kept checking out the area. I became, IBM hires a bunch of people from outside of this area who are new here and looking to explore and find out more about the Hudson Valley and the area. So just because I didn't know anybody and didn't have anything to do in the early time of living here, except getting out and exploring the trails, I became the new hire who knew where all the good hikes were. So I started leading a group of weekly hikers. We would meet after work, in the parking lot at 5 o'clock on Thursdays, and I would take us on a different hike, weather permitting. And I know you guys take weather permitting differently. We took the winters off. I know you don't do that.
Nope, not here.
Yes. But yeah, I did that for 5 years, just new hires, at IBM, taking them on hikes, and took some time off from hiking. Went back and got my degree at Marist. My wife and I got married. We just had a lot of other things going on, and I hadn't been out on the trails for a while. And when our first son was born in 2009, I found if I put him, we got as a baby shower gift from my sister-in-law, a Kelty backpack to put the kid in. And,
good name first. Good first name.
Yeah. So that was a wonderful gift. And as soon as my first son, Evan, was big enough to ride in that backpack, I would take him out exploring. And, even when he got to the age where he'd be teething and going nuts in the house, he would sit all day in that backpack. So I just went out, re-exploring all these trails that I had done when I first moved here. And I started looking online for resources, to find out, more other hikes. And I wasn't finding a whole lot. At that time, this was pre-all trails time, or if it existed, it wasn't anything like it is now. There just wasn't a great place to find out. I knew these hikes were out there from the old paper guides that I had used to use, but I just couldn't find a whole lot online. And I thought, this would be a fun project to start documenting some of these. I've always enjoyed writing. I didn't mention also that another hobby of mine while I was working was I wrote a weekly humor column for a couple small newspapers outside of Philadelphia. And I did that for 13 years. So, writing is just something I've always enjoyed doing. I like taking pictures. I wouldn't call myself a photographer. My strategy is take 900 pictures on a given hike, and you'll probably get 3 or 4 good ones. So, yeah, I took it as a project to start documenting the hikes. And the idea for Hike the Hudson Valley came about through that. I would have called it HudsonValleyHiking.com. Somebody already had that URL and just parked it. There was nothing. I haven't looked at that in a while. I don't know if there's
outrageous.
Now. Yes. And I was like, well, okay, we'll go with Hike the Hudson Valley instead. And just started putting it together. And I built a free, a website using some free Google tools. And I showed a friend of mine from college. I was like, hey, look at this project I'm working on. And he was like, yeah, that's good for an amateur, but let me show you what it would look like. Somebody who knew what they were doing took a crack at it. And this was my buddy, Josh Perlson, and I am forever indebted to him because he took that, initial prototype and made it into this beautiful website. And I just kind of built on it from there. And so, yeah, at the time, there are those 50 hikes books, that's a popular series, 50 hikes in, and they have them for all different areas. There's one for the Hudson Valley as well. And I thought if I could get more than 50 hikes documented, that would probably be really useful to people. So yeah, it's just been an ongoing hobby and project. I try to keep just plunking away at it for a few minutes a day. I've got, I think, 82 trail guides posted out there right now. I just went and counted up. In the Catskills, I've got 12. And I'd love to just run down that list with you all and see, what are some good ones that I'm missing and to get some recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have, I figured whatever recommendation you give me, that'll be the next trail guide that I write. So
every trail possible. How about that?
So I know when you guys are talking about them, I know several of the trails that you're talking about, but I certainly don't know all of them. And would love to pick your brains on that topic too.
So when you talk about when you worked at IBM, did you work at the IBM headquarters that is located right off that lake?
And actually, I still work at IBM, and I'll try not to say anything on this podcast to get me fired. Have I hope I haven't already. So I'm coming up on 24 years with the company.
Oh wow!
And so this is this has been the most rewarding hobby that I have ever embarked upon. This website. When I first put it out there, I didn't know. Would anybody find this useful? Would anybody use it? And it's gotten a lot of use, and I hear from people and the comments who say this has been their go-to resource. And even though I'll say since All Trails has really taken off as well, I have kind of backed off on putting out as many trail guides because it doesn't seem as as essential. It's not there's plenty of other resources out there now, but it's still fun to plunk away at it. And I still hear, I just got a comment a couple weeks ago from somebody who said this has been really useful for him and his family, and that's heartwarming to hear.
Yeah. And then, I asked that IBM question because I had a search and rescue training over there, and it diverts you. You have the IBM headquarters on the left, and then you go along the lake on the right, and then it has I'm pretty sure the Jehovah's Witnesses view, it's really weird. And I had this training of where I had to search for areas, and we did night hiking. So I got home at 2:00 in the morning, and I went by the Jehovah's Witnesses place, but that IBM spot had actually guards in there with guns. And I went into there, and they're just you need to back away. You're not in the right area. And I'm just I'm looking for a search and rescue thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, you go over this way. Sorry. And I'm just Jesus Christ, those guys had M16s. I'm this is crazy.
They don't have those in Poughkeepsie, but I guess down in headquarters, they're not messing around.
Yeah, definitely not. So the one thing I noticed about your page that is absolutely phenomenal and absolutely real, that's what I want to say is real, is your FAQs. your facts.
Thanks.
So now how did you run this by your friend when he made the web page, and you're just hey, I want to go all out?
Yeah, I just a lot of trail guides, even if they have great information, don't really emphasize, how entertaining or engaging is this to read. And I thought, well, why not? We're here to have fun. Why not, put some dad jokes in there, make it a fun thing. So I do take, the accuracy of the information really, that is the most important thing. But why not throw some jokes in there as well? I assume that's what you're talking to with the FAQ. I've rated the hikes, a scale of 1 to 10 for difficulty, and a scale of 0 to 5 cameras. For the scenery, while recognizing that, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You can't really assign a number to nature's beauty, but I'll take a crack at it. And so Stash, when you wrote that you had looked at the FAQs, I went back and reread them to see what all I had put in there, because I wrote those a while back. And the 5 cameras, is it scenery? What is it? Scenery makes love to your eyeballs, literally. And then with a little asterisk, and then you follow the asterisk, and it says, yes, literally.
And then number 5, your writing sucks. How can I avoid seeing more of it? Where does that come from?
That was a sideways way to put a link into that. Back then I was still writing that newspaper column as well. I thought, well, if people enjoy my writing, they can go find some more of it there.
Tad, I might have to put that in there. Your podcast sucks. Where can I avoid this? Right?
Otherwise, you can Yeah, I say definitely don't click this link, and then otherwise just shutting your eyes or closing your browser should do the trick. Good luck.
See, I like this guy, Ted. He's pretty outgoing. I like him.
Yeah, I feel like I struck out with bad ashes. I tried that one with my family at dinner too, and they were like, "Don't say that." And then I did it anyway.
It's always nice to have a scoping group,
Yes,
Right.
to run your ideas by.
Yeah.
So Mike, before we do the deep dive in the little outline that Stash and I have, going over your website, one of the things I find remarkable, intriguing, is where's all the like advertisements and associate links and I'm rating this product here, click here, buy it from Amazon.
Nice. Yeah.
Where is all that stuff?
You think I should put some more of that in there?
No, I'm not. In today's world, where you go to a helpful utility like this, you tend to get bombarded with. I think some of them are called like paywalls. You need to sign up and pay before you can read the rest of the article. They give you little teasers, and then they want your email address to continue. Did you ever consider doing that? And if you did and you decided against it, what was the rationale?
So I really just, as a user of the internet myself, didn't want to do all the things that I find super annoying. So Tad, if you want me to send you some affiliate links after this, tell you some good things to buy, I'd be happy to do that. But no, I can't say that the site is perfectly pure of ads. It does. I run a service on there that populates the ads, and I have throttled it back so they're not every other sentence an ad on there. Because I realized early on that this was a revenue negative venture that I was paying to run the site, because there are some expenses associated with it. So there are enough ads on there that keeps this at least, revenue neutral towards positive. So there are some sprinkled in, but I have tried to make them as unintrusive and as few and far between as possible.
I gotta agree with Tad. Like you're searching through this thing, and you pop up half of the screen shows up as an ad. But Tad, you point that out that you don't freaking do that.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that is just striking. Is it's just clean and informative, and when you're looking for a worthy hike or better, you can come here and not have to deal with all these shenanigans and buy this, click this, sign up for this. It just gets right down to, hey, I got a free day. I want to go hiking. Someplace I haven't been before. Bam. There's all these ideas.
Well, I didn't realize until just now how much revenue I was missing out on. So I will fix this.
So we're gonna sign you up with our people. Stash and I get a 50% commission. Yeah, we get a 50% commission
on your hard ciders.
Yeah, but it's going to be worthwhile. We're going to make you millions. I mean, look what it's done for me. I get to hike every Saturday by myself now. I'm an independently wealthy podcaster.
It sounds like you're living the dream, Tad.
Yeah, I am. That's it. Definitely the dream.
I definitely am.
So you want to, Stash, you want to dive into the beginner's hike, toughest hikes?
I will dive into beginner's hikes because I don't know the Hudson Valley. Then you can take it over from there because this is your somewhat area. I'm not familiar with this. So, Mike, let's talk about I'm a beginner in the Hudson Valley area. What do you suggest that I do?
Yeah, I would start by saying that you are the target audience for this website. I assume, that somebody looking at this has no hiking experience, and that the people who do have a lot of hiking experience, who don't need to hear, whatever warnings and advice I may have on here, they can skip it or skim it. But it's important to have it out there. So, I try to make sure that nobody gets unpleasantly surprised or gets themselves in a dangerous situation because they underestimated the hike. So, I will err on the side of, I have had people reach out to me saying, "Oh, you gave this thing a 9 out of 10 difficulty. Come on, it's not that hard." I said, "Well, for you, it's not, but for somebody else, it very well could be." So I don't want anybody getting surprised. And if they are surprised, I want them to be surprised by how easy it was for them rather than, getting out there and realizing that they're doing this crazy rock scramble that they hadn't signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I do have the scientific hike difficulty rating scale, where a 1 is similar to the walk from the couch to the fridge, and a 10 would make Bear Grylls cry for his mommy. And I don't know if Bear Grylls, maybe maybe I need to update that reference.
Is relevant anymore?
Yes. Yeah. Is he still?
He did something in Balsam Cap with somebody. I think it's a dude from like one of the Iron Man stuff, but it was actually false information. But I guess he's somewhat relevant, but okay. I wouldn't say that it was all relevant. So I don't even know who's relevant upon that area.
Yeah, well, I would say, and then a 4 out of 10 is the last safe number on which to bring friends who don't like hiking. So that's kind of how the scale works.
And that's a very meaningful reference right there. Okay, right?
Yeah.
I now understand very well what a 4 is. No further explanation required.
Correct.
Yeah, and I tell this story on the site too. But I did in college. I took a bunch of buddies to Hawk Mountain, and I told them it was a fairly easy hike. I had just remembered it being not that tough, but it was an 11-mile round trip. And at the end, they were all yes, and that was the reaction they had as well. And the group shot at the end, they're all giving me the finger. So I took that as a learning experience. People don't want to be surprised by having a hike be much longer than what they expected.
And so, Mike, when's the next time you got together with those guys?
Yeah, right.
I actually still keep in touch with some of them. Most of them after that day, I never saw them again.
Yeah,
correct. So what do you have a suggestion down in the Hudson Valley for beginning hikes?
So for beginning hikes, and I have an index page on the site, all 82 hikes, and I have them broken out by east of the Hudson and west of the Hudson. And then you can sort by difficulty, scenery, or whatever is important to you. So you can start with the easiest ones. And there are just some hidden gems around, and maybe some of them aren't so hidden anymore. But like Dover Stone Church is one that I lived 20 minutes away from this place for at least a decade before anybody told me about it. And I don't know if either of you have heard of it or been there, but it's...
I've been there.
Yeah.
Is that a waterfall? Or is that Dover Stone Falls that I'm thinking of? That's up north.
I think, there is a small cascade, I would call it a waterfall, in the back of a cave.
Yes, okay. Is that the same spot?
If you're talking about a waterfall in the back of a cave, it's got to be. And, okay. It doesn't have its own parking lot. You have to time it, when the school's out of session, and you can park in the elementary school parking lot right there. Or there are some local businesses that will allow you to park there. But yeah,
it's remarkable. There's no parking lot for that, but they really seem to have worked up that area, with the entrance walk. As I recall, you walk like this straight trail with trees on either side of it, kind of this majestic thing. And there's benches, and then there's a few marked trails past the cave. My oldest daughter and I did it one day, and it was a great hike.
So just a real simple, and they have added some more trails back in there. So if you want to extend it, you can. But just to go to the cave and back, that's a mile round trip, flat, and nice. Yeah, real nice spot. Yeah. So as you mentioned, Ferncliff Forest up by Rhinebeck, that's a really nice one too. When you're headed eastbound across the Kingston Rhinecliff Bridge, you can see the fire tower there on the hill, just right on that bank of the Hudson River. And there's some pleasant trails that go back through the woods to that fire tower. When I moved here, that was a decrepit old, it was basically, just a rotting out structure. And,
it was all vandalized and abused.
Yeah. So they've done a really nice job in rebuilding that fire tower. Mount Beacon was the same way. When I first moved here, that tower was lacking, 90% of its steps.
Wow.
And I knew somebody who still, shimmied their way up there. I did not do that, but did I? Oh wait, maybe never mind.
No comment.
But, yes, but it's really nice to see, some of the improvements to the trails that have been done, even in the time that I've lived here. That the brief 25 years that I've lived here.
So, I got a little with the beginner hikes, like how much improvement within the last, 15 years when you started this site have you seen with these trails that are you blown away? Are you like, wow, this is pretty cool? Or is it just like they need more?
Yeah, well, that we could always use more, but it is, there have been some new parks that have opened. Like there's a scenic Hudson one let's see. I was about to say on your side of the river, but no, it is on your side of the river. The High Banks Preserve. Yeah, that's up by Esopus. Yeah, so yeah, your side of the river.
Yep.
And that's a new scenic Hudson Park that wasn't here, when I first moved here. And even the rail trail system that's just ever expanding. And I didn't appreciate what a resource that was going to be when they were working on that. The Duchess Rail Trail is not too far from me, and that's a wonderful place for walking and biking. And the connecting all the rail trail systems together down here in the Hudson Valley and headed up towards New Paltz. I think you can get from Hopewell. You can go pretty far south from here and up to New Paltz too.
You can actually get past New Paltz and all the way into the Gunks now.
Wow.
Itself. Yeah. So, all right, Mike, I want you to bend over, tighten your bootlaces. Okay. Enough of this beginner hike shit. Okay.
Right.
Let's talk about those hikes in the Hudson Valley that if you're capable of doing the tougher stuff in the Catskills, the 6, half of the Devil's Path, the entire Devil's Path. I mean, what do you have in the Hudson Valley that you would say goes toe to toe with some of the toughest stuff we have in the Catskills? Bring it on. Game on, Mike. Let's hear it.
So I have the caveat. I was looking at this before to see what are the longest hikes I have documented here, and 8 miles is the longest. So I know that's what you haven't even gotten to lunchtime on a normal Sunday for you guys at that point, I guess. Yeah. So this is really targeted.
All right. So Mike, it was nice having you on the show. Next week, go ahead. Tell us about the 8 miler.
Yeah. So, the Taconic Range up in the northeast corner of Dutchess County, Brace Mountain, the highest point in the county, is just a gorgeous spot. And that's the next one. And Stash, this may have been the one that I was talking to you about. It's the next weekend free that we have. This is where I'm going to take at least my oldest son and maybe my younger one as well up to Brace Mountain. It's just a gorgeous spot. There's some scrambly spots on this trail that I want to take up to the top. And it's just a wide open view looking straight across at the Catskills and the Hudson River in between. It's just a really beautiful spot.
So this is the Taconic Range?
Yes.
So where you start at? Where you ending at? And the 8 mile hike.
So there's Allender Mountain. You can do that's the 8 miler that I've got documented here, and that's an up and back. So you just 4 miles out, 4 miles back.
Okay.
I will try to where I can make a loop hike, but I don't have any documented here that you can't do with one car. So it's either a loop that brings you back to the same lot, or it's an up and back.
Good call.
Yeah. And I know that would rule out a lot of the best hikes in the Catskills, or there's a lot of great hiking that you can do there if you have the luxury of 2 cars that you can park on either side. But for this, I just assume that, you just get to the trailhead and that's where we're going to finish.
Well, that whole Taconic scenic hike is just absolutely one phenomenal hike. If you can spot 2 cars, is just absolutely phenomenal. And this is not even hiking it that I've just know from Tad, I know you've done that, correct? You've done some of the Taconic?
Yeah, this is the Taconic Crest Trail I think Stosh is talking about. Is that in part of your website, the Taconic Crest Trail?
I don't have that one. Yes, I have heard of it, but I've never.
But Allender is part of that, right?
I don't think so. The Taconic Crest Trail kind of like straddles the New York, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Going up to Vermont. So I think Mike has geographically said that's out of the Hudson Valley.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
And I do get pretty I'm not scared to annex, other areas into the Hudson Valley for the purposes of this website. I lived here for quite a while before realizing Hudson Valley doesn't apply to the Catskills. And a commenter on the site was like,
everybody comes up here from.
Yes. I was like, I just thought that was everything from Yonkers to Albany. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so did I.
Same.
Yeah. Somebody was very clear with me that the Catskills are their own thing. This is not the Hudson Valley.
Yeah. Well, speaking of their own thing, and having determined that the Taconic Crest Trail is not in the Hudson Valley, why don't we talk about those hikes, whether easy, difficult, or otherwise, that are just the jaw droppers, that if we only could do one or two hikes that are on your website, which ones would you say, these are the must-dos?
So for the east side of the Hudson, as I'm looking at the ones that I have rated 5 cameras, those I don't give that rating lightly. Even 4.5 is tough to get. I see Brace Mountain is at the top of the list, and Breakneck Ridge as well. That's kind of what the most popular hike in America. I've seen.
I would have to say, I've heard Breakneck Ridge is definitely, I've heard of many times. But would you say Brace Mountain?
Yeah, Brace Mountain and the Taconic.
Why haven't I never heard of that? I've heard of Breakneck Ridge a million times, but
you just mentioned doing it with his son.
Right? that was the one we were just chatting about. Although, as a side note on that, in that trail guide, that was the only time in 25 years of hiking in the Hudson Valley that I have been rattled at by a rattlesnake.
Oh, there we go.
On that trail. And I know you all were talking about Witch's Hole recently, and Tad, you said, you rarely go there without seeing one. And that's actually the reason that I hadn't gone to Witch's Hole. They're magnificent creatures. But, if I'm going hiking with my dog or my kids, I would, I guess I wouldn't mind seeing one from a distance, but I'm not going seeking them out, I should say.
One of the things that happens in the gunks is you'll be walking along and you'll be on these rocks that are, little slab rocks that move around when you step on them, and you'll hear a snake under the rock. Yeah,
I'm good. Everybody knows about Breakneck Ridge, so except for me. So what about? I've heard amazing things. Like it's unfortunately it's overcrowded.
Yes,
but there's a lot of cool scrambling, right?
Yeah, so that is the first thing to know is the overcrowding. So I would never come here on like a Saturday afternoon, but I live 25 minutes from it. So a Tuesday evening, that's a great time to go. And, I have done it with both of my kids and they both loved it. And I do recommend that on the website as well. I had somebody who was on my Catskill Falls trail guide that an irate commenter, and I don't get too many irate commenters, but this one, was blaming my site and social media in general for the overcrowding. And I do take that seriously. And I do try to tell people, on these really popular hikes, don't show up on a Saturday afternoon and even have any expectation that you're going to get a parking spot, especially, in fall foliage season. So, where you can visit these places at an off time, do it. If you can take half a day off or, come in the evening when we have nice long days in the summertime, a weekday evening is a great time to do some of these most popular hikes. So yes, that's just a little aside. Yeah.
Right. So on the topic of Breakneck Ridge and going there at the off hours, what would you say about doing Breakneck Ridge to catch a sunset? And you're going to be up there, you're going to watch the sun go down, you're going to come down in the dark.
Ooh, yes.
How advisable is that?
If you're doing the full loop, that's the way to do it. So beautiful place to catch a sunset. It's looking the right way across the river, and there's a few nice vantage points on the way up. You keep thinking that you're at the top, and then you crest that. There's false summits, and I think there's 3 or 4 of them until you're finally actually at the top. And some of the best views are actually a little bit further down before you get to the summit. So it's funny you asked that, Tad, because my son and I did end up coming down in the dark, and he was like, I was like, don't worry, buddy, we've got headlamps. Daddy planned ahead. We're fine. But and actually, I think they've made that trail, you can't come down it. It's one way going up.
How do they do that? How do they have one way on a trail?
Well, there's a new, the Nimham Trail is the like a bypass of the steepest part of the scramble. So if you want to come down, you got to take that bypass back down. You can't come down the scramble.
Is there like a turnstile that keeps you from going down? Is there I mean, what is this, Stosh? They have like traffic lights, sign it. I mean,
from the popularity that I've heard of the Breakneck Ridge, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So that part is that is one way going up, and then you do it. It's about I've got it listed here as a 3.7 mile loop, and you kind of come around the back, and that's a nice gentle descent. So it's not.
So what's the ascent on that? How many feet do you have? Do you have the feet?
Yeah, I'm going to click on this handy website that I've got up right here.
Hike the Hudson Valley.
Tell me,
what's the name of that site again?
HikeTheHudsonValley.com. It doesn't
Never heard of it.
.com.
Never heard of it.
It's 1,442 feet total.
See, so that's
1.1.
Yeah, that's serious shit.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you buy that in the first mile, right?
Yeah. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
Tad, have you been there? You act like you haven't been there.
I've driven by there so many times now. You've
never been there?
I've only hiked. This is, for me to get there, it's easier for me to go to Slide Mountain.
No shit.
And this is, Mike, this is the rub for me. For me to go over and hike in these areas, I have to go through like so many stoplights, stop signs, traffic. To me, it's like almost like driving in the city. It just really kills the vibe for me. For me to get like in that mood of like, I'm going out and, I'm going to go hiking. I head west, I drive over the Gunks, I head to the Catskills. It just kind of like puts me in the right mood or setting to do a hike.
I hear you 100%.
Yeah.
But what about getting through New Paltz on a Saturday afternoon?
I don't have to go through there to go to the hike. Plus, if I'm going through New Paltz to get to the hike, it's at 6 a.m. Okay.
Yeah. Tad hits these early.
Yeah. It's me and the paper boy going through town. That's it.
So you know what I have to say, that is challenging. You talk about 3.7 miles. So, that's a hell of a hike for 1,400 feet a game. But I got to admit, that would gain kind of like my enthusiasm and my just, I don't know what to say. It's just like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then you get to that view overlooking the Hudson. It's attention grabbing. And there, all of a sudden, click, everything comes together.
So, I'll say this for Mike, way, way, way back, and I should post this picture. But when my two daughters were young, we hiked up Bear Mountain from that rec area where the skating rink is and all of that. We went all the way to the top. For them, it was a rugged and fun hike.
Yeah.
And we got to the top, and what did we do? We watched the sunset. And it was magnificent.
That's awesome.
For them, it was just kind of like a cementing experience. So I'll say this, there's a lot to be said for a Hudson Valley sunset or a sunset over the Hudson River.
Absolutely. And I thought you were going to say that you got to the top and then noticed the minivans and people wearing flip-flops, because we call that the Cheaters Highway that goes up to the Perkins Tower. I told my son, just disregard the fact that we could have just driven up here. That's no fun.
Well, what I did before we did the hike is I took my wife's van and I got it a little bit up the road that leads to the tower. And then I just parked it at an angle. I put up the hood and put the four ways on. So nobody could get up. We had it to ourselves. I was thinking ahead.
Good strategy.
So with Breakneck Ridge being like the toughest hike, would you also consider that one of the most scenic hikes?
Yeah, it's popular for a reason. It is beautiful and rugged. The scramble's fantastic. I know there are overcrowding areas, an overcrowding issue there for sure. And it's a constant topic of local conversation in Cold Spring. So I don't want to, direct everybody to go there. And certainly if you do go there, hit it at an off time.
And go in the right direction.
Yeah, and then to Tad's point about the traffic, right on the other side of the river, Storm King, that's another popular one, but that is a gorgeous hike as well with views across, looking back at Breakneck, and up the river where it's really wide right there at the Newburgh Beacon Bridge and Bannerman's Castle. That is a beautiful, quintessential hike as well.
So Understanding you're not a professional photographer, but you do know a little bit about photography, and you've been to these places at presumably all times of day, all times of the year. What's the best time of year and best time of day to hit Storm King Mountain? Because I know that's got to be a spectacular view of the Hudson River.
Yeah,
so when should I go and hike that?
I mean, is fall foliage season a cop out to say? I mean, that is a gorgeous place to be. It is also, again, on the weekends, very crowded. That's a limited parking area right there. So that's another one that I would advise, great for a weekday evening in the fall.
Gotcha.
And the hour before sunset would be a great time to be there. Or I guess before sunrise, I don't know. I only see sunrises involuntarily, Tad, so you'll have to, and that's not entirely true. I have done what we call a sunrise special in my house where, I get to the trailhead just at the crack of dawn so that I can complete the hike and get back home before anybody really misses that I'm gone. And that's been a way that I've done. I did Tremper that way so that I could, go experience that one and get back to the house in time for my son's soccer game, I think was the thing I had to get back for that day.
Nice. So now I know that most of this area supports the Appalachian Trail hikers, correct? Going through the Hudson Valley has the AT, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So have you ever encountered some Appalachian Trail hikers?
Yeah, you'll see them out. Great Swamp is a really nice hike out in Pauling that has a boardwalk over this swamp. They have a promotional video, James Earl Jones, who passed away recently, but he was a resident out that way and they did a promotional video for the Great Swamp that has his voice on it. It's kind of cool to hear James Earl Jones narrating that video about one of our spots. But yeah, you'll see through hikers there. Cat Rocks is just beyond that. Those are connected. The Dover Oak is the largest oak on the Appalachian Trail, as it's I'm trying to remember where I got that piece of information from, but I think it's legit. It's on the internet somewhere, but it is a really impressive tree, and that's right by, right off the road. You can just park and see this magnificent oak tree.
If we bring a jackknife, can we carve our initials in it?
Please don't do that.
Please don't. Yeah.
Right. It's not a good idea.
I will use that as a segue to say, Ted, I know you're joking, but at the top of every trail guide, I do have some language, imploring everyone to please, pick up some trash along the hike as you go, leave no trace, and with a link to leave no trace as well for a primer on keeping the trails nice and fresh for each other. So
on that point, Mike, before we move on, I have this thing I call it Take 5. And my view is on every hike, you should try to take 5 things off the trail. And so what I find it does to me is it forces you to really look to meet that quota. Because sometimes during the year, it is hard to find 5 little things on the trail to pick up and take. But if you're really looking to put 5 things in your pocket or in your backpack before you hop in your car and go home, you can do it and clean up the trail. So take 5. Great.
I like that.
I'm going to trademark that, put it on T-shirts, bottle caps.
Take 5 lantern flies. Yeah. So, I mean, I know that the AT is very popular through there. My friend Mo Lamore has an area that he navigates and he takes care of down through there. So I'm a very big Appalachian Trail I don't through hike, but I know that I've dealt with them down in the Shenandoahs. We take care of them every 2 years. We go down to the Shenandoahs and we support them, and it's fantastic. And if you know the spots along the Appalachian Trail, I would suggest to post them and then have people support them when they're coming through, because these Appalachian Trail hikers love when you give them trail magic. I don't know. Have you ever done that, Mike?
No, I have not.
If you give them a 98-cent bag of M&Ms, they will think you are a god from Rome. And they will be like, hail, Mike.
I usually hike with at least one Zagnut bar in my bag. So I will, next time I see a through hiker, I'll be sure to toss it their way.
Okay, you and Tad should probably hook up because he chugs one bottle of water, and that's good enough through a 13-mile hike. I don't understand the physics with that, but it's insane.
And before we get off the Appalachian Trail as well, I don't know if you've been to Nuclear Lake over by Pauling as well.
I was going to ask you about Nuclear Lake. Tell us about it.
Yeah. I say in the trail guide, I know the name sounds bad, but don't worry. It's only called that because the experimental nuclear lab that used to be on the shores of the lake had an explosion in 1972 that blew an unspecified amount of bomb-grade plutonium out across the lake and surrounding woods. But don't worry, they've cleaned it all up, and all those guys.
At least there's no biting fish in the lake anymore.
Yeah. So it was declared clean and fine for hiking, back in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah. That's because the government doesn't like hikers. Yes. Send them all to Nuclear Lake.
Yeah, we do look for the Simpsons three-eyed fish in the lake when we're walking by there. But I did have a thru hiker drop a comment to say that it is the most beautiful lake on the Appalachian Trail. And then I made a comment that I'm sure that was some hyperbole, but that's nice of him to say. And then he replied back and said, no, I meant it is the most beautiful lake on the Appalachian Trail. So that is at least one thru hiker's opinion on that one.
Tell us how long is that hike out to Nuclear Lake, around the lake?
So that I want to say it's about a 4-mile, 4.1 miles, and it's a partial loop. So it's like a lollipop. You go around the lake, and you can extend it if you want to go beyond and do a viewpoint up at Cat Rocks Beyond. You can add another couple miles and do that.
Nuclear Lake, nice. God damn, I'm missing out.
Yep, maybe Stosh can charge his Tesla at Nuclear Lake.
There you go. Just, drop the cord in the water and you'll be all set.
Yeah. Probably would
another
work.
commenter did say that is an area of high Sasquatch activity.
Oh, well,
so
that's good to know. Because
I'm there.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out there for the Sasquatches and the mountain lions, probably. Yeah.
Which reminds me, I think Sasquatch is coming on, what is that, episode 165? We'll have
They're getting here. They're getting here. We don't know if he or she yet. So
I'm glad I was on before Sasquatch. That would have been a very tough act.
You're part of the workup to the big show.
Correct.
Building buzz.
It's kind of this cascade crescendo.
So, Mike, with all your experience in the Hudson Valley, what is your personal favorite, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so as I'm looking at the list here and the ones, there's just so many great ones. And, I've got 82 trail guides out here. I have a personal goal just to, don't stop doing this until I get over 100. So I just want to hit triple digits. And that's so easy to do. I hope everyone recognizes how fortunate we are to live in a place with so many hiking opportunities and so many varied, different kinds of hikes that you can do here. It's really awesome. From the waterfalls, fire towers, rock scrambles, get out into the deep woods and the Catskills. There's just so much here. So I'm not trying to avoid the question.
You are. Because you don't want us to go there.
Yeah. Well, so it's tough, to pick the favorite. But Bonnecue Crag is one that I want to get my kids out to, and they have both done the lemon squeeze, the labyrinth at Mohawk.
God, I've heard that's incredible.
Yeah, it's an experience. I call it a sometimes treat in the trail guide because it is expensive. It's up to $37 a hiker, something like that. Yeah, when I was a college kid and we went there, a few college kids, we pulled up to the trailhead, to the guard gate, and he told us at that time, I think it was $23 per hiker, and we were like, per hiker? We don't have that kind of money. This is not. So we went back and I think went for a hike in the Mohawk Preserve, which was more reasonable.
So who owns the lemon squeeze? Like, who charges that much money?
That's owned by the Smiley family. It's part of the property that they still own. But Mike, I don't have a trail guide or anything, but when my older daughter really, really got into hiking, and with Mohawk, Minnewaska, the Gunks being 5 minutes from my back door, we hiked all over the Gunks. And so she came up with this figure 8 hike that takes you through a lot of these rock scrambles. Maybe they're not as big and as well maintained as the lemon squeeze, but they'll give you a thrill.
I'd love to know that figure 8. It sounds
Yeah,
good.
I'll Stosh will send me your contact info, and I'll turn you on to it, and you won't have to pay. You won't have to take a second mortgage out on the house to do it.
Awesome.
So,
thank you. I appreciate that. And since you mentioned Minnewaska as well, Gertrude's Nose is another one that I would put up there at the top of the list. That's just an absolutely gorgeous hike up there. Hunter Mountain, Giant Ledge, and Panther. Now, I know I'm getting into the Catskills.
Those are the Catskills? Oh.
You
Nice.
never heard of these ones? Tad, I'm telling you, if you've never been to Giant Ledge and Panther, you guys got
Giant Ledge? No, never heard of it.
This guy has been to Overlook once and the Catskill Falls once.
Oh, no, excuse me. I still haven't been to Overlook. So
Really?
And I take great pride in the fact that I haven't been there. And the only reason I went to Catskill is I was hiking the escarpment and part of that All Trails challenge.
All trails.
And and it had done nothing but rain, the days leading up to it. So from like 45 minutes out, that's all you heard was this waterfall.
That's
So
phenomenal.
It was like crack to a crack addict. I just couldn't walk by it, so I had to. Yeah, but I'll echo what you said. There is just a ton of good hiking in this area, and it's remarkable. When I say this area, from the west side of the George Washington Bridge going upstate and into the Catskills, and it's amazing that you're so close to the largest city, the largest metro area in the USA. But let's you told us your personal favorites. Tell Stosh about. I've only hiked in Harriman State Park twice, and my first time there, part of my hike took me on the Bottle Cap Trail. Right? There's such a place called the Bottle Cap Trail, right?
What's with that?
Yeah, Harriman is massive. I have a couple of hikes around Harriman on the guide. There's a lemon squeeze there as well, and that's one of the ones that I've written up, but I'm not familiar with the Bottle Cap Trail.
Really? Yeah, so the Bottle Cap Trail, actually, I hiked it down to the lemon squeeze. It doesn't go to the lemon squeeze, but I did like a legit 18-mile hike there that day, so I was like all over. And I got on this trail called the Bottle Cap Trail, and it's called the Bottle Cap Trail because the trailblazers are bottle caps. Yeah, somebody hammered like all these bottle caps on the trees to mark the trail, and I thought, okay, that's a good way of repurposing bottle caps. Leave it to the Harriman crowd.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, that's very efficient.
Yeah, I found that terrain to be very interesting. A lot of diversity there. I could see myself hiking there a lot more, with the exception, and maybe this is where I get Mike. Mike hasn't done a lot of hiking in Harriman. I just have this thing about when I'm setting off to go to a hike, part of that experience is just the drive over to the Catskills really puts me in the mood.
True. Seeing those peaks and stuff like that really gets you into that mood. Yeah. I gotta admit. So, Mike, I have a question. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. Tad, you might have a little knowledge about this as well. There's a place where it requires like a guide, and it's like a massive gorge that you need to go through. It's my friends have offered this as I'm trying to.
So you're thinking of Shingle Gully?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you been through there, Mike?
No, that's in Minnewaska, right?
I've heard that
in that area.
Yeah, it's on the western slope. I don't know if it's part of Minnewaska State Park proper, but it's part of the Schwangunk Ridge.
I've heard it's one of those geological wonders of the East Coast.
Yeah.
So there you go, Mike. Yeah. We'll have to get you hooked up.
All right.
You sign up through the, I'm going to call it the ranger station. I think it's part of Sam's Point. I don't know if you email them or call them how they do it now, but they do have, on weekends, at least one, if not several, chaperoned tours through there. Very worthwhile. Don't go there on a hot or humid day because there will be no wind. And it is going to be hot and humid. But you will find through the middle of June snow.
Wow.
You're going to be hiking up like these just huge piles of snow that over the winter, like a winter like this, have filled, these areas. And then you'll go down into, these ice caves that are really interesting. So yeah, it's worthwhile. I can almost assure you're going to see something with a tail that rattles when you go through there. Yeah. But I've done it several times. It's free. And if you live an hour away, half hour away, or 5 hours away, it should be on your bucket list of things to do in New York State.
All right. Mike, with the Hudson Valley area, do you wear like gaiters and stuff like that for this the venomous snakes and stuff?
No. After I encountered that rattlesnake on Brace Mountain, my folks sent me one of those suction rattlesnake kits that don't do anything. Yeah. And I did put it in my pack for a few hikes, and then I did some online research on these things, and I was like, oh yeah, I tell you don't use these things. Yeah. So, I think just step carefully. Now, I would say, I've only seen that one rattlesnake. My wife almost stepped on a copperhead in Connecticut. Castle Craig was the hike that we were doing there. And we incorrectly identified it as a baby rattlesnake at first because it had the yellow tail that looked like a little rattle, but it was a juvenile copperhead. I think those are the two kind of venomous snakes that we've got around here, right? So I've seen one of each. Wow. But I'm not hanging out in the places Tad's hanging out. It sounds like there's more opportunity, and I know, I know where to go to see them, particularly in the August time frame. That seems to be when they're most active. Shunnamunk, the Taconics, Minnewaska, Overlook is fairly well known for them as well, right?
What about the most horrific anything of all, ticks? What do you do about ticks?
Yeah, right.
Especially down in the Hudson Valley. That's I got to admit, seeing the tick population in the Catskills, the Hudson Valley is absolutely insane. Just seeing about that.
Yeah, I've seen people post like horror story pictures, of even like the brushing them out of their dog's fur, and there's just dozens of them in there. But
that's disgusting.
I've never experienced that. One or two
really?
Here and there.
Wow.
It's just never.
You're a fraud. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? He doesn't look like the real Mike Todd. The real Mike Todd is taller.
It's an occasional. An occasional.
So how do you do it then? You bug spray?
I bug spray. Yeah,
what do you use? What's your brand of choice?
It's just whatever they sell at Costco. 30% DEET off.
Yeah, Agent Orange.
Yeah. Well, I used to go with 100% DEET. That's what I was raised on. My family would go on vacation to Maine, and we would have the 100% DEET that would melt your raincoat if you got it on the raincoat. But I just spray my shoes, and the bugs, they really bother the rest of my family. They fumigate their entire beings before we go anywhere. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just spray off my shoes to keep the bugs off, the ticks from crawling on and carry on.
Wow. First time I got Lyme's disease was at Minnewaska.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was of all the things, I was riding a mountain bike there with my kids, and within a week I had the bullseye. So what's instead of ticks, which don't seem to bother you, what about bugs? When's bug season in the Hudson Valley? What bugs do we have to worry about, and what do you do for them?
Yeah, I think mainly the mosquitoes, and same thing. I get bit. Went to Verneuil Falls one time. That's out your way, and we had to die. It was a cold, misty day, but we jumped in and swam just to get some relief from the mosquitoes for a little while. They were insane, and my wife and I were running and smacking our arms. We were both bleeding, but she swells up. I don't seem to react, so I have been blessed that they do extract what they're going to extract from me, but I don't seem to react to it too much. So I don't go too crazy with the bug spray. But that's really it. And yeah. How about you guys?
I use a head net, and then I just freaking sprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? It's all. It depends on the day. You have
Yeah.
some wind, you're okay. But then once you don't have some wind, you got to make the wind yourself and fly up the mountain, fly down the mountain. It sucks.
Yeah, well, I think in part in the Catskills, once you get to a certain elevation, you're above and beyond, those little pests. They seem to be in the lower elevations, and once you get up higher, at least my experience has been I've been okay. But some days when you're out there bushwhacking and it takes you a while to get up to like 2,800 feet and above, you just start getting eaten alive. Your face looks like it's hamburger. But it's worth it because you're outdoors hiking. At least that's what you keep telling yourself. I'm hiking. Yeah.
Type 2.
Yeah. So it's good.
So, Tad is more familiar with this area, but I'm not. So he wrote down a bunch of, he calls stupid questions, what I don't find stupid actually. So like when you're in these areas, they're very popular. So like parking lot safety, I've seen this up in the White Mountains, where people's cars get broken into and stuff like that. So what happens, like your doors don't lock, or you want to protect stuff beyond like what they can see, because it's a big probability with the amount of population coming from New York City up there. So do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I just don't. I take all my valuables. I try not to have anything in the car, and pack my wallet in the bag, and don't leave it in the car, and just hope for the best. That's always worked out so far, and I've never encountered any. I've seen the pictures on social media. I know that this is happening and it is a problem, but I haven't personally had an issue with it myself, or witnessed any windows being broken out at trailheads, anything like that.
That's good. It's crazy to see that up in New Hampshire and stuff like that, and I'm grateful that it doesn't happen down here in New York a lot. So at least we heard. So it's good. What about the I hate to ask this. This is good old Tad's stupid question. I love it. But water quality. You gonna drink the water that flows down from the top of Breakneck Ridge?
This is a trick question. I feel like if the tick one wasn't, if you weren't scoping me out with the tick
This
one.
is a trick podcast. Okay. It's been one trick question.
I would not, I have been on camping trips where I filtered my own water for any of these day hikes. No, just pack enough, and always, overpack. I figure worst case, I get a little extra exercise, but I always try to end the hike with a bunch of leftover water. So,
correct. Yeah. That's the way to do it. Always filter your water. Even, the Catskills, I can't say I'm 50-50, but I will filter my water in the Catskills just because, the deer might have pissed in the stream up ahead.
My filtering is based upon where I'm getting it from. Am I down? Like if I'm going up the East Branch of the Neverstrink and you got all those campsites upstream from you, I'm filtering.
Yes.
But if you're really, really out there and it's fast flowing water and it's clean, it's not a lot of turbidity, then maybe I won't filter. But sometimes you're stuck out there and the water you're going to take is water that's been sitting around, and then you're going to filter. So,
but on Breakneck Ridge, we're going to filter 100%.
Because it might have some crystal meth in it.
It's horrible, but it's worth
sorry,
it.
I think I just insulted Mike. He's like not laughing at that one. It's like, that's my home turf, bud.
But then that'll make the experience, they'll make the sunset 10 times more magical.
I wouldn't know, because I don't know what crystal meth is. I just heard about it on Breaking Bad. That's my experience with it. So,
you watch TV shows? No way.
Breaking Bad, that was a good series. Frankly.
Then you would like Dexter. God damn.
I was going to say,
Dexter,
that's right in that same wheelhouse. If you're into Breaking Bad, Dexter, yeah.
Well, beyond that, you will be blown away. So Mike, are you affected? I know this are you affected by like the noise around there, the motorcycle noise, the truck noise, stuff like that? Let's
put this in context. I hiked in Harriman Park a couple of times
take this.
a few winters ago, or a few summers ago. And like I said, that one hike I did 18 miles. The other one was cut short by that rainstorm that shut down the park a couple of years ago. You should remember that. But the one thing that really, really struck me is it seems like there's all these guys or whomever on motorcycles racing around. And so you're out on this hike, you're seeing all this great stuff. You feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. And next thing you know, it's like a Formula Grand Prix, like bunch of guys or whomever racing do you experience that around where you hike? Or was that just me being hypersensitive?
For the hikes that are near the thruway, for instance, and yeah, I know in Harriman it's near the thruway and also has some of those scenic roads that people like to go on, scenic drives through where you're going to hear that. Yeah, it is a bummer. So I would, that'll cost them half a camera on the scientific scenery.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So,
but you wouldn't avoid that. Like I hear that in the Catskills once in a great while. When you're, of course, hiking
when
up
you're by your
Panther.
car at the parking area, you hear that.
Stuff. I hear that stuff on
area.
Panther and Hunter and stuff like that when they're going through, 42. Everybody's taking that scenic route on 42. Come on.
And when you're on the Dink, what are you hearing? Friday, Balsam Cap. Right. What on the Blacks? What are you hearing on Black Dome? Thomas Cole.
Everybody's coming up through
when you're doing your trail maintenance. What are you hearing out there?
I'm actually hearing people downshifting up on the 23A.
Really?
Or 23, yeah. Because they're going down the freaking Wyndham area and come on, that's a high.
I guess maybe because I'm there on a weekend. But
Mike, does that draw you away from those hikes ever?
No, I generally think if you just keep walking, eventually you're not going to be able to hear it as much. You keep climbing, you get further away from the roads, and yeah, it is a bummer. I hear you 100%, and yeah.
Spoken like a true hiker. Just keep hiking.
Just keep hiking and enjoy the view. The view will capture your presence and stuff like that, and it'll wipe everything away. That's the way I see it. So, Tad, you want to go with the Highlands Fjord project? You want to talk to Chad about that?
Yeah. What do you know about that, Mike?
Yeah, I'm passingly familiar with it. I know they've got big plans for the area down there, right? And as connecting Beacon and Cold Spring and the areas that we were just talking about earlier that have seen this influx of interest and of hikers and visitors. So that's right along the Hudson, right? That's going to connect those two towns and
right along the railroad.
Yeah, and I will say I just was down there not too long ago, and there are some yard signs with the Fjord Trail with a circle around and a line through it. Like it's not it's not unanimous, the support for this. But,
wow.
To me it sounds really cool. And like a great thing for the area.
Yeah, I'd vote that this is a cool project, great thing for the area. I don't see the environmental concern because it's right a very actively used railroad. I mean, it's the commuter line into the city, from Beacon, Poughkeepsie, etc. And obviously, if you're not an outdoorsy person and you don't want people, walking nearby your house, I can understand on the one hand why you're against it. However, I do know from the research I've done on rail trails, the studies show that when you have a recreational corridor like this right next to your property, it increases its value because maybe you're not a big proponent of it, but somebody who is looking to buy a house is going to look for something like this because you can literally walk out of your front door and be on this pedestrian, hiker-friendly, biker, cyclist-friendly, linear trail that takes you to all these cool places right along the Hudson River. Okay? I mean, you want to go out and catch a quick sunset on the Hudson from your front door? It's hard to say no to something like that, And I could see somebody who's making big money in New York City, wanting to move upstate, this would have some appeal to them if they could buy a house along this corridor. So I see it as a big plus. The downside is they spend all this money building something like this, and then what happens? Budget cut, and it falls into a state of disrepair. And that's the sad thing is they pump money into it to build it up, and then they don't maintain it. So
and then it's going to be volunteer.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll go the way like the walkway over the Hudson, where I feel like every time I visit there, they keep adding to it, making it nicer. The welcome pavilions on either side, the elevator that takes you right up to the deck.
Yeah,
wow,
from the park in Poughkeepsie. Yeah,
and if you know the history of the walkway over the Hudson, at first the local community was against it. Right, it was just a few individuals that kept plugging away year after year, trying to get some traction with that project. And now I think it is one of the top 5 tourist attractions in upstate New York, excluding anything around Niagara Falls.
Yeah. I got to admit, it's, I haven't been over it, but I've seen it from below. One of my friends lived below it, and I'm just fascinated. I'm like, wow, this looks like something. It's like, a personal, like Tappan Zee Bridge. over the Hudson. Like I wish I could have spent more time out there and seen that. And I'm so jealous of the high. I love the Catskills, but the Hudson Valley sounds like it's just got so much opportunity for me.
Absolutely. If you want to learn all about it, just plug into Mike's webpage.
Hike the Hudson Valley.
I thought it was lost in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah. So Mike, why don't you hook up with the Hudson Highlands and plug yourself into that project, and maybe you guys can hook up with doing some research and stuff like that. Like that would be a great, phenomenal thing, because you're a big part of the Hudson Valley.
Well, thank you, Stash. I appreciate that. And the park manager there has reached out to me a few times of the Hudson Highlands State Park.
Nice.
Just to say, like, hey, could you update this on your site or tell people to go this way? So I really appreciate, hearing from, somebody in his official capacity, making sure people get good information.
And then you're like, give me $10 million and I will do it. Peace.
Yeah. And I'll be sure to wrap affiliate links all around it.
Right. Yeah. Make some money off of that.
Right. You got to make some money off of all this stuff that you're doing. So, Mike, I want to do one last thing. I want to thank you so much for donating your time to making this webpage and to, being on the podcast. Cause I got to admit, you have probably reached out to so many people that has helped grasp the hiking experience and once it grabbed their attention to be like, hey, this is awesome. And you've expanded their lives into not just hiking Breakneck Ridge, but a bond beyond that. And it's just a phenomenal what you've done all individually. So it without trying to profit from it, it's just phenomenal. And Tad and I both appreciate that because we come from the kind of same time. We just do this for fun. We do this for our love of the Catskills, and you do this for your love of the Hudson Valley. And we thank you.
Well, thank you both. And I've become a big fan of the podcast, really appreciate what you guys do here. I've learned a lot from listening to the show, and you guys do an awesome job with it. So thank you. It's really interesting topics and really topical for folks who love the outdoors here. So thanks. Keep doing what you're doing. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here.
Yeah. Gee, it sounds like we're going to have Mike on again.
Yeah, right. I mean, maybe later on. Yeah. So last question, post-hike brews and bites. Do you have a preference?
In the area that we were just talking about, I will say the one I've been to frequently and recently is Tutto's Pizza in Cold Spring. It's right on our way home. So when we climbed Bull Hill, half the reason my kids want to go hiking in the Hudson Highlands is because we have to drive by this pizza place on the way home, and there's an ice cream place connected to it in the same building. So light on the brews, but heavy on the pizza and ice cream. If you're into that, if you're hiking.
Tutto's, how do you spell that?
Tutto.
Okay.
Tutto's Pizza in Cold Spring.
Yeah. You don't drink with your kids?
Well, they're downstairs playing Fortnite, and I'm having a beer up here with you guys right now. So discount.
And the wife doesn't know. So all's good.
Hey, nothing wrong. Yeah. So excellent. So Mike, thank you for joining us tonight once again. We just thank you for doing your support for the Hudson Valley, for just doing this all for free and for basically for the knowledge and for the general public. It's really, we really appreciate it. Once again, it's like what we're doing for the Catskills. just given the general knowledge and people the experience that they have in the Hudson Valley, you have expanded that beyond the capacity. So thank you once again, and keep in touch. Let's get out there. Let's get your 3,500 peaks going.
Let's hook up.
Yeah.
All right. I better hustle and get the winter ones in before I run out of time, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's always next winter.
Okay.
You don't have to do it in one season. That's fine.
Your son is only 15 years old, man. He would fly above us. So we're just like, goddamn, slow down.
I would love that. Let's make it happen sometime. And I also
Definitely
want to say, that this area has so many wonderful trail organizations. I write these guides, but I'm not the one out there, maintaining the land, creating these trails, and giving us all these awesome places to hike and explore. So I'd like to thank all the folks in the outdoors community here who make all this possible, because we really do. We're very fortunate to live in this area that has so many opportunities, and that's due to the hard work of a lot of great people around here.
100%. So once again, thank you to the monthly supporters and the monthly sponsors of the show. We'll be making a donation soon to the Catskills. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's donated so far, and thank you to everyone who is still listening. Mike, I can't believe you're still listening to the show. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy it.
They deserve you've earned a hard cider if you're still listening, so go treat yourself.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, thank you. And then
Thanks,
two
Mike.
tonight. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Hey, thank you, guys.
It's a pleasure chatting.
Hey everyone, I just want to thank you for listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe and throw down a smooth review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast platform that you use. You can also check daily updates of the podcast, hikes, hiking news, and local news on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the official website of the show. Remember this, you gotta just keep on living in the Catskills, man. Livin.
Wicked, wicked, wicked.